Okay, here we are. We are streaming. 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 We're streaming. How you guys doing? I did the Capitalism today, so finally my schedule's gonna get back to where it was. I was in this very strange position. Eggs D, good to see you, my man. First in the door. I was in this very strange position where management was away, and so I was the one picking up the slack. And so I am going to go back to my originally scheduled programming, which I'm really looking forward to, because it means I work less days at the Capitalism. Longer days, but less days, and gives me more time to focus on the things I would like to focus on. And perhaps actually focus on the channel. We'll see how it all shakes out. Gotta do some overtime today. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I am tired. I am the tired boy, and I got to go into work tomorrow. So here we are today. Always remember, everybody, please God, disrupt the death machine. As has become the habit, the thing that I have begun to do on this channel is start with something stupid. Let's all just start with something stupid that we can all point and laugh at, such as all the plastic in our testicles. That was a great story that we read not that long ago. 2 days ago, maybe? This article headline was so offensive to me and so insulting that I actually got a subscription to the Wall Street Journal. It was cheap. It was on sale so that I could read this on the show today and really drive home the point that I've been driving home over and over and over again on this channel, which is that economists are illiterate boobs who are so stupid that they discredit the entire project of America. So this is written, no word of a lie, Mr. Rhodes is a professor emeritus of politics at the University of Virginia. So this guy gets to stand up at the University of Virginia and say things and is expected to be taken seriously, and he's publishing articles in the Wall Street Journal entitled, "You Say Trickle Down," as if it's a bad thing. Buckle up. Let's get ready for the absolute disaster show that is this ridiculous article by Stephen E. Rhodes. Oh yes, of course, Apple CEO Steve Jobs hold up an Apple iPhone. The great success of capitalism. You have an iPhone. Why are you complaining about capitalism? You have an iPhone. Capitalism made iPhones. Certainly not the workers that made the iPhones. Right, the workers didn't mine the minerals. The workers didn't forge the minerals. The workers didn't design the iPhone or construct the iPhone. No, it was Steve Jobs by himself, handcrafting each individual iPhone with his own brilliant genius mind. Yeah, the super genius Steve Jobs telling other people to make things and then taking credit for it. Super brilliant genius. I am the super brilliant genius, Steve Jobs. I told a man to invent something, and he did. Brilliant. President Biden, in his State of the Union address, encouraged Americans to imagine a future in which the days of trickle-down economics are over, and that the economy is built from the middle out and the bottom up. That expression, middle-out economics, has bounced around Democratic policies for at least a decade. But how would it work? No one says. Yeah, let's focus on the part of the statement that is obviously pandering, right? Middle-out economics, right? Forget about the whole, bottom-up statement. Forget about the fact that power comes from workers and labor, right? And their work within the means of production, and that power is distributed in the society because the bourgeoisie own the means of production. No, we can't have a rational, logical, actual conversation about real politics. We have to have this fake, phony conversation about politics. So, perfect. Rhodes is doing everything he can to just keep the conversation within the cult, right? That middle out? What are you talking about? Politicians may scorn the trickle-down effect, but it is responsible for America's economic well-being. This is a serious person that's writing this, you guys. This is a serious person who teaches at a university. This is a university professor who is standing up in front of everybody and basically pulling out his dick, his like weenie little tiny micro penis, and then bragging about it. Like, this is who this guy is. Even some prominent 20th century liberal economists, you know, other cult members, including Paul Samuelson and Alfred Kahn, you know, guys you've never heard of, right? People you've never fucking heard of in your whole life, who are also just fraudulent pseudo-intellectual hacks, who also have prominent positions, even though they're completely illiterate and don't know the first thing about their own subject, agreed that the innovation and investment that lead to capital formation are crucial to economic growth. Yeah, like taking capital and using capital as an investment. It's like it's not like you're a god king, right? Like, it's not like you're a superhero. Just because you withhold capital from the populace, and then every so often the populace hits you with a fucking stick like a piñata so that the goods come out, doesn't mean that you're good, or that we should pay any attention. Like, why should we deal with you at all? Like, this worship, this veneration of a holy sect, as if we're supposed to take it seriously, is just unbelievable. Kahn once wrote, "The most powerful engine of productivity advance is technological progress, generated in large measure by expenditures on research and development and embodied in improved capital goods and managerial techniques." Yeah, forget about the people doing the work, right? Forget about the people actually doing the work and who are actually developing the technologies, who are actually doing the research, who are actually putting in all of the stuff. Like, these guys literally, like, quite literally, I was making fun of Steve Jobs like 2 minutes ago, saying, hey, we should all worship Steve Jobs because he told a guy to do a thing. And this guy's literally saying that's what we should do. We told them to do something, and they did it. We're geniuses. Like, chances are good that your workers were screaming at you for 30 years to do this thing. You ignored them, and then finally one day went, wait a minute, we should do that thing the workers have been screaming at us for the last 30 years to do. And then you do it and it works, and you go, we're genius capitalists. You fucking, like, it's just this dim-wittedness of genuinely believing that capitalists are actually important or matter. It's just shocking. That process confers benefits on everyone, he added, precisely by trickling down. Like, note that the conversation is about productivity, right? It's not about actually it's not about increasing your wage. It's not about increasing your living standards. It's not about making things better for you. It's not about making you safer. It's not about building your community. It's exclusively and only productivity. The only thing they care about, increasing productivity. Although what's odd is that they don't care about increasing productivity, because any time that productivity is increased by improving the well-being of the workforce, they don't do that. Right? So it's about managing the workforce. And that's what this article is about. It's about trying this grift again, right? Seeing if the grift will continue working, seeing if they can continue lying to you and have you go, oh, I guess we should worship Elon. Here we are again. Just Me, good to see you. Hey, hit the like button, everyone. Share, subscribe, all the bells and whistles. Good to see you, Just Me. Just Me, you were talking about trying to contact me. You could just send me an email at jmichaelsanderson@gmail.com, right? That's in the description. I don't know where it is exactly. This is not news, right? jmichael Sanderson@gmail.com. Yeah, please. When employees use better equipment and have better managers, they become more productive. This makes them more valuable. See the absolute, like, mental gymnastics these acolytes have to go through, right? When employees use better equipment, who made the better equipment? Who built the better equipment? Who researched the better equipment? Oh, we're not going to pay attention to workers at all. It's just that the better equipment just manifests from nowhere. That a capitalist goes, I have dollars, and goes, equipment! And then equipment pops out of the air, right? Yeah, are they going to mention work from home? Yeah, right. Haley over on Twitch with the joke of the day so far. Right? Capitalists don't mention things that work and are good for workers, right? No, they like to say that capitalists just manifest equipment out of the thin air. Workers are not responsible for making that new equipment. And have better managers, right? You need to have better slave drivers, right? New tactics for how to manipulate people. They become more productive. This makes them more valuable to their companies. Note how they talk about workers as if they're just like stock, right? And stirs competition in the labor market, causing their real incomes to rise. Literally no evidence of this happening, right? Like this argument, which isn't really an argument, it's just babble, right? It's just baby babble at this point, being published in the Wall Street Journal by a professor from West Virginia. This makes them more valuable to their companies, stirs competition in the labor market, causing their real incomes to rise. You might as well just throw in 9/11, dude. Like, this is just babble. It doesn't actually mean anything. Like, let's really go through it, right? When employees use better equipment and have better managers, they become more productive. Correct. Who made the equipment? Workers, right? Who's doing the job? Workers, right? No mention of if you improve living standards, if you give people like a 4-day week. You know what increases productivity? A 4-day week. Work from home policies increase productivity. But it's not about increasing productivity. It's about disciplining the workforce. That's what you're actually talking about, right? If you discipline the workforce correctly, they'll work harder. If you terrify the workforce, they'll work harder, right? Jib Jabby, good to see you, man. Capitalists are Minecraft admins and can spawn shit. Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah, I just put in better equipment and it just showed up. Why did we do that before? Huh. Senator Elizabeth Warren sees the world differently. During her 2020 presidential campaign, she said the wealth tax she wanted to impose on billionaires would have no important cost to society. That's correct. Billionaires are perfectly worthless. Like, actually a drain on the society. To defend billionaires at this point is to, like, try to defend Adolf Hitler. Like, you can't do it. It's not possible, right? This is a religious ideology. In her view, the tax would be reserved for the diamonds, the yachts, and the Rembrandts. Yeah, right? We're, like, shooting rockets into space for thrills. We're building mega yachts and shit. Miss Warren ignored an important point. My religious ideology. It's the super rich who have the greatest ability to save and invest in businesses. This is such a dumb fuck way to think about economics. Like, it's so stupid. It's money worship, right? That it's actually workers and customers that drive business, right? That it's production. Like, capitalist investment is only useful insofar as is withheld. That if we eliminated the capitalist class, we could just invest in whatever we wanted to, right? Like, you're only pointing out that capitalists are useful because of the fraudulent nature of the system and how wealth is withheld from the populace, right? So all you're doing is pointing out that billionaires are parasites, right? That's all you're doing. And the strategy of suck up to the billionaires doesn't work. It collapses your society and it's a failure. And this guy teaches at West Virginia, right? Like, you live in a hack society full of frauds and losers at the highest possible levels, right? PhD professors are making these arguments. They are illiterate boobs who have no evidence to back up their claims whatsoever and are basically just gagging on the cock of billionaires while trying to convince you that this is the only way an economy can be structured. Like, it's just shocking that the Wall Street Journal read this and was like, yeah, okay, I guess we'll publish this. Obvious religious tract by a lunatic. For his 2019 book, The $1 Billion Secret, Get Money from Your Dad After He Committed a Genocide Against the Indigenous Population. That's the $1 Billion Secret, right? Receive hereditary wealth from your father after he commits a genocide against the First Nations people, right? That's what Elon Musk did, right? Like, his dad owned apartheid emerald mines. Like, do slavery, right? And then take that money and give it to your children. That's how billionaires are actually made. Entrepreneur Raphael Badzeg interviewed 21 quote-unquote self-made billionaires. The fact that he's using the phrase self-made billionaire shows you how detached and psychopathic this guy is. He found that they generally derived more pleasure from investing in technologies to create new and improved products, a benefit to everyone, than from spending on personal luxuries. Yeah, they get off on dominating workforces because they're psychopaths, right? Yeah, we're going to make new products, so we're going to have people work 80-hour days. Don't you feel fulfilled? Like, this is just a love letter to psychopaths. A good example is the smartphone. Wealthy Americans were among the first buyers and investors in the product when there was a new technology. In time, costs dropped, and smartphones became ubiquitous. Has nothing to do with the workforce, just capitalists. Capitalists went... smartphone, and the smartphone materialized from nothing. Politicians and the press misled voters and readers when they claim that tax cuts for the rich don't benefit other economic classes. What are you talking about? What evidence do you have to back that claim up? Right? You have no evidence at all. There is literally no benefit. Wages have stagnated. Inflation has chewed away literally any growth that did occur in the first place. What benefits have we received? Except now we're tied to these fucking things. This is how we communicate, and you're making it shittier every single day. The capitalist death cult makes everything worse every single moment of our lives, and keeps trying to jam toys in our faces as a replacement for living a life. Right? No, you don't get freedom. No, you don't get to actually go live a life and pursue your interests or do any of that kind of stuff. But boy, howdy, when you're working your ass off to still not pay rent, you got a smartphone in your pocket. Yuckles. These religious this religious ideology is destroying America, and it's hacks like Rhodes that is perpetuating it forward. Like, how did this get published in the Wall Street Journal? It just discredits the Wall Street Journal as an organization that should be taken seriously, as if it needed to be more discredited. I guess it is a pro-genocide organization. Excessive taxation, doubtless a feature of a middle-out plan. This hyper-focus on middle-out that nobody else focuses on, could deplete the funds that entrepreneurs use to start and sustain useful ventures. What are you talking about? Like, for real, what are you talking about? Like, there's hundreds of billions of dollars sitting in offshore accounts doing nothing. Like, what are you talking about? This manic, deluded idea that this guy has that, oh, investors are just investing money after it. No, they're not. They're sitting on it. You know what they're investing in? They're buying up our housing market. You demented loser. Like, it's unbelievable to me that this guy has the gall to publish this article with no evidence, just a bunch of baby babble claims that come out of nothing but a religious ideology. This guy's a fraud and a hack, and it's unbelievable that he's being published at all, or simply allowed to still be a professor at the University of Virginia. Like, this article discredits the University of Virginia. That's how terrible this is. Americans shouldn't worry so much about wealth distribution. Don't complain about being slaves. Don't complain about being serfs. I know you work 2 full-time jobs and still can't pay the rent. But don't worry about wealth distribution. Just stay quiet. Instead, we should be grateful for how the wealthy enable entrepreneurial ideas to come to life, allowing everyone to prosper. What a just wank this was. I can't believe I got this subscription so that I could read this wank article. That's nothing. Like, it's actually nothing. Like, that's actually the end of the article. Right? No evidence, no actual claims made. Literally just, capitalists are good for us. And we're supposed to take this fucking shit seriously. This is the best they've got. This is it. This is the top of the tier. They can't do better than this. Right? And as long as we allow them to stand up and say this shit unopposed, they're going to keep doing it. Right? And a bunch of daft, dumb manosphere morons are going to be like, yeah, billionaires are good, actually. Because they invest. Even though they don't. Like, there's literally no evidence that they invest in anything. There's hundreds of billions of dollars sitting in offshore accounts. They're literally buying up the housing market. Like, what are you fucking talking about? Like, what are you fucking talking about? This kooky, fringe, ridiculous religious ideology is destroying the country. And as long as we allow these people to continue speaking like this unopposed, it's going to continue to destroy the country. Like, unbelievable. Unfucking believable. Just me. Message you on Facebook. Cool. Thanks, bud. I'll touch base with you, okay? Juan, take the wealth away from the rich, and what do they have? Nothing. Yeah, they're worthless, right? And how did they get the wealth? They committed a genocide and exploited a workforce. That's how every single billionaire makes their wealth. Period. No exceptions. There's no such thing as a self-made billionaire. The fact that this guy said the phrase out loud shows you that he's a total hack. Like, self-made billionaire? What are you talking about? Like literally pick any billionaire. There's no such thing as a self-made billionaire. All you have to do to believe in the concept of self-made billionaire is exclude the fact that the workers are doing all the work, right? This guy considers you to be no different than a screwdriver. You understand? This guy just sees you as an object. You're just a tool to be used and discarded when you're no longer useful. That's how this guy views you. He's a slaver. You understand? He wants to enslave you. This is the argument of slavery. And he's just saying it in front of your face. And we're all supposed to be like, that's a normal opinion. Yeah, I'm an object. Yup. Get totally fucked. I hope something terrible happens to you. Ugh, let me get away from this article. What a trash article. Just me. Standard of life dropped for regular people. They got rid of progressive tax rate. Yep. Gabriel writes, hey, John, tomorrow I get my fake paper for 12 years of indoctrination. Good for you, my man. You did it. You did it. You made it through. You successfully convinced them that you could answer questions that they said that you should answer. We're going to give you questions. Make sure you give us the answer we want, and then you'll be a good boy. And then just in straight juxtaposition to the article we just read, 2020, almost 2/3 of new wealth went to the top 1%. Like, what a fucking loser. Like, what a total fucking loser this Rhodes guy is. Just embarrassing. Like, embarrassing for the University of West Virginia, for sure. Dylan CIA burns. Biden is working hard for the ordinary American, and Bidenomics is working great. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a proud little object. Step on me, daddy. We got people commenting. The Opinionator is back. Hi, yesterday you said I should support communism. I looked up notable modern communists like AOC. What are you talking about? AOC's not a communist. Who told you that AOC was a communist? AOC's a communist? Dude, who are you talking to? Dude, why are you... Yeah, see, she's a social democrat. Well, she describes herself as a progressive. Like, who's telling you that AOC is a communist? Because it's time to stop listening to them. AOC is not a communist. Like, under any circumstance and in any interpretation you like, AOC is not a communist. Right? Like, yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. And I have heard from communists that Marx himself, founder of their ideology, well, the discoverer of the social science, but okay, used the terms socialism and communism interchangeably. Yeah, there's a period of time, as the process of the subject got more refined, the concept of socialism and communism got more defined as time went forward. That initially it's correct that Marx did use socialism and communism interchangeably, but it became more understood as time went forward that communism is the end goal, right? To have a stateless, moneyless, religionless society and that socialism is the arc of the journey to get there. Right? That those two things, they are distinctions, but they also are linked, right? That capitalism is over here, communism's over here, and the process to move towards communism is socialism. And that's how that's supposed to be understood. AOC calls herself a socialist, which social means communist, therefore she's a pro-blah, blah, 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 blah. Just trash. Just really poor analysis, honestly. There are many different versions of people who say socialist, right? There's social democrat, for example, which is what AOC actually is, right? Social democrat, which is essentially we should ask capitalists for concessions and expect them to give us concessions for some reason. You never elect in social democrats, right? You need massive protest movements and threats of revolution to get social democracies actually up and running. But the idea that AOC is a communist is embarrassing. Like, it's just an embarrassing thing to say. The reality about AOC is that she's just playing a game, right? She just knows that a bunch of people are like healthcare, and so she says healthcare, and that means she gets to be a congresswoman, right? She doesn't actually believe in anything, right? Like, look at her voting record. She doesn't believe in anything. Yeah, with all due respect, I'm not going to support AOC. Yeah, neither am I. Like, I don't, you've just decided that she's a communist with your shitty analysis. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, it's such a bad analysis. Yeah, AOC a commie, imagine it. And get the, I'll read the whole comment. Listen, Marx used the terms socialism and communism interchangeably, ignoring all of history and the entire history of the communist movement. Okay. AOC calls herself a socialist, and I just uncritically believe that. Okay. Which also means communist, says you with your poor critical analysis. But you are an anti-Biden communist, which I prefer more, to be honest. Yeah. Like, you shouldn't be basing your opinions on what AOC thinks, right? You shouldn't be basing your opinion on what anybody in any system of power has to say about any subject, right? Like, the billionaire class and the political class will lie to you about this stuff. It will absolutely make claims that are completely and totally false if it means that you don't actually do what you need to do, what's best for yourself, right? Like, just because AOC says she's a socialist doesn't mean she's a socialist. And just because, and even if they were to get some kind of piecemeal reformism, certainly doesn't mean they're a communist, right? Like, is AOC standing up and saying we should transfer the means of production to the working class? Is AOC standing up and saying that it's the working class, that it's labor that is more important between labor and capital? Is she standing up and saying any of this stuff? No. Why? Because she doesn't have principles. She doesn't believe in anything. She just wants to be a congresswoman. She just wants to be in Congress. That's it. Because I'm sick of it, Haley. I'm just fucking sick of it. I'm sick of people coming in here and lecturing me about this shit. Like, really. Like, really. I'm a grump. I worked a full day at Capitalism, and now I get told that AOC is a communist. Like, come on. Like, it really is time for us to start standing up and being like, oh, we've been duped by frauds. Like, we've been completely duped by frauds. Like, and it just seems like it's over and over. And, like, the frauds are so dumb. Like, they're so... It's like guys like Andrew Tate and, like, Sneeko. And we're all just like, these are the guys that are conning us at this point. Just like the most obvious grifters that could possibly be. You got silver spoon daddies like Ben Shapiro, and we're all just supposed to be like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. He certainly doesn't have the mindset of a slaver, right? He's certainly not trying to commit genocides, and we're all just supposed to believe this shit. And then people come in here and tell me, like, as if they know something. It's just crazy, man. It's just wild to live in this world where people who don't know anything about the subject act like experts. Like, I don't make a claim to even be an expert, right? But at least I have the foresight and the ability to, like, be like, oh, what does this book say? Like, it just hurts my heart, man. Like, to hear this, like, AOC is a communist. What in the fuck? Like, what in the fuck, dude? Like, it's bad enough that I've got to fight, like, a battle of, I've got to fight a battle of, like, communism killed 100 billion people, even though capitalism literally was started with a genocide. But, communism is worse because there was a famine that one time. Like, that's bad enough. But then also to have to deal with just, like, AOC is a communist. Like, who's a communist next? Like, who's going to be the next communist, right? Like, soon Donald Trump will be a communist, right? Like, it's just wild to see the detachment from reality. Just no feet on the ground, no critical analysis, nothing based in reality at all. Just straight up, like, the news said it, so it's true. Oof. Azron says, John, I need you in an earpiece whenever I talk to my friends and family about communism. Tell your friends and family about me. Bring them on in. Let's go. Let's get that drunk uncle in here. Come on. Peanut Butter Beatrice. What a beautiful name. Peanut Butter Beatrice. The owner class would never allow an actual communist into Congress. That's the hard truth. Like, an actual communist would be standing up and being like, hey, we should seize these houses and use them to eliminate homelessness, right? An actual communist would actually be saying, like, hey, we've got 1 in 5 houses are being purchased by corporations. We should stop that. And we should just transfer this into the hands of the working class, right? Yeah, AOC was so brave saying Palestinians were human beings, right? Yeah, I understand, opinionator. Okay, I'm getting pushback on the Twitch chat. Look, I'm a grumpy grump, right? I'm a grumpy grump. I'm a super grumpy grump today. I worked a full-time job. I've got to deal with all this shit. Like, you know what it is? You know what it is, actually? It's just insulting that anyone would actually even attempt to make the argument that someone as pathetic and weak as AOC is a communist. That's what it is, right? When you look at the historical figures of communism and you look at the people who supported communism, these people were strong-willed, intelligent, smart people who fought and died against fascists, against capitalists, who laid everything down on the line for themselves and succeeded and improved their society doing it, right? AOC is just a pandering loser. Just some pandering wimp who has voted for literally every war, who has voted against the working class every chance she has, and yet has the audacity to stand in front of us and actually say, I care about the working class that I consistently betray. It's just so fucking frustrating that someone like her would even be considered to be part of the communist history. That the history of communism should ever include AOC, who literally is just some loser that we all like because she says the right things and we don't have critical thinking skills. Yeah, AOC is the far left of the American system. She's literally a conservative. Like, her views are conservative views, right? It's just the system has gone so far to the right. Everything's just fascism now, and we're all just supposed to act like that's normal. Santora, I've been watching a lot of finance channels. I'm so sorry for your loss, Santora. I'm so sorry for your loss, Santora. And they have been fleeing from the U.S. due to international relations going so far south that no merchant or corporation wants to risk being here. I mean, my perspective, like, that's one thing, right? That the United States is isolating itself and making itself a piss-poor trading partner. But also, there's no more wealth here, right? The wealth that exists in America is held by a very small group of people. And that very small group of people are the merchants and right? I was about to say manufacturers, but there are no manufacturers in America anymore, right? So the merchants don't want to be in America because there's no wealth to be pilfered anymore. They pilfered all the wealth, right? We're all living paycheck to paycheck now. Like, we're all making do with the wages that we can get. Basically flipping burgers for one another, right? Making each other lattes and shit. While paying enormous taxes in the form of inflation, rent, and government taxes, right? Like, nobody can build any wealth, so there's no excess wealth to actually extract from the public anymore. And the merchants know that if they stick around, they're going to get taxed, right? So they're fleeing the country because there's no reason to remain. Like, this is the abandonment section. How often do I say this, right? It's extraction and abandonment. Well, you're following finance channels, and what are the finance channels saying? We're abandoning you now, right? Why are we abandoning you? Because there's no more wealth to extract, and we all know that you guys are going to turn around and tax us. So we're going to leave, right? Which was always their strategy, which was always the thing that they were planning on doing. And as they leave, they're trying to gaslight us and convince us that this is actually good. This is a good thing that's actually happening. It's actually good that you sacrifice your life for nothing while we build mega yachts and shoot rockets at space and fund pedophile islands. Like, this is actually good. Do Jagmeet Singh next. Yeah, I mean, Jagmeet, he, near as I can tell, Jagmeet Singh exists. His entire task is to just get a pension, right? That's the only reason he's there, is to just get his pension. The USA, in seeking to weaponize the dollar, is not digging its own grave, but more like quarrying it. Yeah. Yeah, AOC, Vosh, and Bernie Sanders are the leading thinkers of leftism. Yeah, right. Literally, like, pro-genocidal maniacs, pro-war advocates. Like, this is the left. Yeah, when you weaponize the monetary system of other countries, see it can be used against them, yeah. And she's close with Nancy Pelosi, of course. No, they can't, and that guy says like and subscribe, right? Please like, share, subscribe. Consider donating to the Patreon. Even $1 would help. Make me feel really good about myself. You can find it in the description. And more importantly than any of that, please tell people I exist. Jagmeet's brother owns a counseling firm where he'll go when he leaves. Yeah, exactly. Juan, good to see you. Americans are just now starting to complain about our economy and the state of the country. Too bad it's too late, as nearly all the wealth is stripped away. Yeah, like, I think people are going to be shocked at how fast it happens, right? Like, the housing crisis that's happening in Canada, it took like 30 years to get to this point, but it only really reared its head in the last couple of years. And when it reared its head, it happened very fast. And the same thing is going to happen in America as people begin to realize how little wealth they actually have, right? Like, it is just going to be mayhem, I think. So pivoting over, speaking of mayhem, pivoting over to the Israel conflict. Biden's response to Israel's ICC prosecution is an attack on international law. As if there is such a thing as law anymore in this system. There's no rules. Like, they're just threats. But some people are still talking about it as if there is international law that we should respect. This marks the first time in U.S. history that a sitting president has openly sided with suspected war criminals. Isn't that fun? On Monday, a prestigious team of international jurists and legal scholars released a report to the International Criminal Court recommending the indictment of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, along with 3 Hamas leaders, for war crimes. The angry reactions from President Joe Biden's administration and congressional leaders are not simply another defense of Israel's war crimes, but an attack on international humanitarian law itself. Biden denounced the report as outrageous, marking the first time in U.S. history that a sitting president has openly sided with suspected war criminals against the ICC. And despite nothing in the report questioning Israel's right to self-defense, Biden insisted on pledging, "We will always stand with Israel against threats to its security." Similarly, Secretary of State Antony Blinken called it shameful and a profoundly wrong-headed decision, which the United States fundamentally rejects. ICC prosecutor Karim Khan, in accepting the British-based panel's unanimous recommendations, noted how the report indicated that he had reasonable grounds to believe that Netanyahu and Gallant, along with Hamas leaders Yahya, really? Straight up, Yahya? Okay, Yahya Sinwar, Ishmael Haniyeh, and Mohammed Diaf bear criminal responsibility for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity. Ironically, Khan, a British lawyer, was considered to be Israel's preferred candidate for the position of ICC prosecutor. He was seen as less likely to prosecute Israeli officials than his predecessor, Gambian lawyer Fatou Bensouda. But that's just how brutal it's gotten, right? It's just gotten so fucking brutal and so obvious that it's genocide that he's literally sitting there being like, well, I mean, like, if we're going to have any credibility, we got to actually do this thing. One of the members of the panel was the prominent British human rights lawyer Amal Clooney, who has been represented other victims of mass atrocities and has been criticized previously for not speaking out against Israeli war crimes. Clooney's support for the panel's decision to apply for ICC arrest warrants, noting that regardless of the reasons for a conflict, as a human rights lawyer, I will never accept that one child's life has less value than another's. I do not accept that any conflict should be beyond the reach of the law, nor that any perpetrator should be above the law. This is the story that's coming out of all of this, by the way, that Israel had literally, like, supported these people. And these people, like Amal Clooney, right, has been criticized for not speaking out against Israel. But now things have gotten so embarrassingly overwhelming and obvious that they're like, well, I guess we have to, do the basic function of our job. Oh, it's a genocide, for sure. How do we know? Because Israel keeps saying it. And then literally carpet bombing children. Like, there just comes a point where you gotta basically be like, yeah, like, it is what it is. Like, what are you talking about? Human rights groups have praised the decision. The Amnesty International's Secretary General Agnes Callamard, noting that none of the parties is above international law. This move by the ICC prosecutor sends an important message to all parties to the conflict in Gaza and beyond, that they will be held accountable for the devastation they have waged on the people of Gaza and Israel. Like, it's just wild to me, right, that it's come to this. It's absolutely wild to me. Like, there's no bottom to this shit. Wait, the first time? Are we forgetting about literally every war in the past 100 years? No, those aren't war crimes. That's spreading democracy, Haley. That's spreading democracy. We had to go into Iraq. He had weapons of mass destruction. We had to go in there. Saddam Hussein is a terrorist a threat to the world and world peace and liberty. We got to go in there and spread democracy. Hold the fuck up, bud. Monsieur says Khan dropped himself in it, indicting Putin, and made the ICC a political football, so they failed to indict Netanyahu would have made him a laughingstock. Yeah. I mean, the West is already a laughingstock. Like, it's just not, what organizations like the ICC are doing at this stage in the game is attempting to rebuild the credibility of the West, right? That the West no longer has credibility. That credibility began to decline significantly since, I mean, I think you could make the argument that it's been in decline since World War II, but really, like, the invasion of Iraq is a big one. The invasion of Chile, I think, is another good one. For fuck's sake, the Vietnam War. Like, when has America ever actually been viewed as this, like, shining beacon in the world, actually? Like, when has it actually been the truth that the rest of the world has actually, and when I say the rest of the world, I mean literally the rest of the world, not just Europe, actually looked at America and been like, oh, these are good guys. These guys are working for us. Yeah. Just what I expect from a self-proclaimed Zionist, of course. Insert shoe statue here. Yeah. Operation Sunrise. Operation Sunrise was a series of World War II secret negotiations. Oh, yeah, fantastic. A series of World War II secret negotiations from February to May 1945 between representatives of Nazi Germany and the United States to arrange a local surrender of German forces in northern Italy. Most of the meetings took place in the vicinity of Bern, Switzerland, and the lead negotiations were, this is not so bad. I was expecting, like, the United States allied with the Nazis secretly. This is just negotiations for a peace deal. Normal political shit. Like, good evening, Fiddleford. Good to see you. Good to see you. Meanwhile, corporate profits rose to a new high in quarter 4 of 2023. Just in case you're confused about why the price of everything keeps going up and mistakenly concluded it was inflation. Yeah. Just me. They saved head Nazis. Yeah. You're correct, just me. I guess I'm jaded. I'm just like, you're literally showing me documents being like, they helped Nazis. And I'm like, yeah, they're Americans. Of course they helped Nazis. Like, Henry Ford literally received the Iron Cross from the Nazis. We love Nazis. We rehabilitated the Nazis. We put Nazis at the head of NATO. Like, what was Haussinger? Adolf Haussinger was like one of the head chairmen of NATO for a period of time. Like it's just so like I appreciate the information, but I guess I'm just sitting here just being like, boy, am I just a jaded monkey. Nothing will shock me anymore. Just nothing will shock me anymore. Like, you could literally show me a document that proved that, like a CIA document that actually said that Roosevelt was actually Hitler's right-hand man in a secret alliance, and that they were manipulating government. And I would just be like, yeah. The USA made the gas used in the camps. Yeah, and IBM made the computers, right? Like, it's like, if it wasn't for American corporations, they could have never done the Holocaust, right? The industrialization of the Holocaust was only made possible thanks to American corporate power. So, yeah, make sure not to look at any Ukrainian soldier uniforms. Exactly. Well, there was that period of time where, like, Western media kept taking pictures of Ukrainian soldiers. They kept taking pictures of Ukrainian soldiers, and they didn't know what these patches meant. And then people were like, Nazi patch, Nazi patch, Nazi patch. And so they just stopped taking pictures of Ukrainian soldiers. You'll notice, right? The only pictures you get of the Ukrainian conflict anymore are literally Zelensky looking like off camera, going with this face. That's all you get anymore. Here's an article from Telegraph, which is like the Fox News of the UK. Israel abandons full-scale Rafah invasion after U.S. talks. Did they? Do you think that they actually did? Right? Do you think that they're actually going to abandon the invasion of Rafah? Or do you think they're going to build another wall around Rafah and just create another concentration camp within the concentration camp they already created? Right? They purged Gaza, right? And they get everybody in Rafah, and then they're gonna invade Rafah. But then the ICC is like, you guys are war criminals. Like, we're gonna do shit to you. And like, Biden is probably talking to these guys. And now their solution is gonna be to just build another wall around Rafah, right? And create yet another concentration camp. Like, that's what they're actually gonna do, right? Right? Yeah, black suns all around. Israel appears to have abandoned its plan for a major invasion of Rafah in favor of targeted incursions to eradicate Hamas from the area, U.S. officials have said. We're not going to eradicate. We're not going to invade and eradicate Rafah. We're just going to bomb Rafah. And we're saying that we're bombing it to eliminate Hamas. People still believe that, right? Yeah? Okay. And of course, we define Hamas as literally anybody. So, kill a Palestinian, kill Hamas, right? So, indiscriminately bomb as much as you like. The United States has for weeks warned Israel against going into Rafah, the last city in Gaza untouched by heavy fighting, and Israel has taken the U.S. concerns into account. Everyone, don't worry. Crisis averted. Israel has taken United States concerns into account, everyone, with the goodness and glory of its perfect and pure heart. Israel is simply defending itself, and here is the proof. A senior U.S. official said late on Tuesday. It's fair to say, I think, the Israelis have updated their plans. They've incorporated many of the concerns that we have expressed, the U.S. official, who has to remain anonymous, told reporters. This is an ongoing discussion, ongoing conversation. It's been constructive. Jesus Christ, these people are demons. The official was referring to last week's talks in Israel between Mr. Netanyahu and Jake Sullivan, the White House's national security advisor. Joe Biden, the U.S. president, has repeatedly voiced his categorical opposition to a major invasion in Rafah, arguing that the operation in the town packed with displaced Palestinians is likely to claim too many civilian lives. That's the point, right? Like, Netanyahu and the Israelis, the Zionists, are genocidal maniacs. Their goal is to ethnically cleanse the region. That's what they've been doing, right? They're not going to stop. Like, all they're doing is they're shifting their tactics. That they understand that we can't go into Rafah. That's a bridge too far. right? That, oh, the place that we told everybody to flee to, if we ethnically cleanse that, then it's too obvious, right? Although it's extremely obvious what they actually are already. So their new goal will be to build a new wall and to create a new Gaza, right? So instead of having 2 million people crammed in this space, they'll have 2 million people crammed in this space. And they'll create an open-air concentration camp like they had previously. It'll just be a much smaller space. Right? And Joe Biden is probably saying things behind the scenes like, we don't need to kill them. We've already gotten them off the land that we need to exploit, right, for the gas reserves that are there, right? Just let them live in this concentration camp. It's fine. Israeli tanks rolled into the outskirts of Rafah earlier this month, but its operations there have so far appeared limited. Those statements came as the last U.S. intelligence shows that Israel is far from achieving total victory in Gaza, as once touted by Mr. Netanyahu. No more than 35% of Hamas fighters have been killed in Gaza since the war began, and about 65% of its underground tunnels are still intact. Politico reported on Tuesday, citing unnamed U.S. officials with knowledge of the latest intelligence. Hamas has also been able to recruit several thousand new members during wartime. I wonder how that happened, according to the U.S. officials. It's not clear, however, whether these individuals joined the rank of Hamas forces on the ground or its political wing. I mean, at this point, like, everybody's fighting, dude. It's probably pretty unlikely that people are like, yeah, I'll just do the politics. Inside Gaza, the humanitarian crisis is deepening, as the Pentagon reported that none of the aid that had been loaded on lorries and dispatched from a new U.S.-built temporary pier was delivered. Big shocker. Oh, all that food we sent? Yeah, they didn't get it. Yeah, it went bad. That's what happened. Our soldiers got real hungry, so they just ate it themselves. Let's talk about the Holodomor. Crowds of desperate Palestinians intercepted and emptied the lorries with aid this weekend, leading the UN to suspend the deliveries, a Pentagon spokesman said, adding that they were working with the UN on new delivery routes. Yeah, right. Like, who's gullible enough to believe this shit anymore, right? Like it's just shocking that it's shocking to me that they don't, after saying something like this, they don't say, like, adding that they were working with the UN on new delivery routes, which nobody believes. Like, why would anybody believe that? On Wednesday, witnesses in Gaza said Israeli tanks advanced to the edge of a crowded district in the center of Rafah during an intense night of bombardment. But we're not going to ethnically cleanse Rafah, even though that's exactly what we just described. Yeah, we sent in a bunch of tanks and bombed the shit out of it. Not an ethnic cleansing, though. Israel Defense Forces tanks took up new positions further west than before along the southern border fence with Egypt, and were now stationed on the edge of the Yibna neighborhood in central Rafah. Residents and militants told Reuters. They reportedly have not yet entered the district. Spooked by the reports of an imminent Israeli invasion of Rafah, Palestinians there had been fleeing northwards, with some 800,000 people leaving the area in about 2 weeks, according to the UN. These poor fucks, man. Just these absolute poor fucks. Like, what a fucking disaster for these people. The UN's Agency for Palestinian Refugees on Wednesday raised the alarm about overcrowded, unsanitary conditions in the areas where the locals had fled to, with no better alternatives in the sealed-off enclave available. UNRWA said the population of its facilities in Khan Yunis, a city to the north of Rafah that was badly bombed earlier this year, alone has increased by over a third in the past fortnight. Photos from UNRWA facilities showed Palestinians lived amongst the rubble in damaged school buildings with no tents or vital services. What a normal people. Like, what a normal thing. Yeah, we're not going to invade Rafah. We're just going to surround it with tanks and then systemically bomb it. And then steadily over time, what we'll do is we'll replace those tanks with a wall, and then we'll build a giant wall around Rafah and create a new concentration camp. And then if we find any Palestinians in the north of Gaza, we'll either kill them or force them to go back into the concentration camp in Rafah. And this is their more liberal position. This is what they would call liberalism. VFro, good to see you. Yeah, I think the main plan is to depopulate as much as they can, push refugees into Egypt, which they have been already. Yeah. with the settler strategy in the West Bank, constant construction, protected by military, I think it's obvious they want to remove Arabs and eventually annex West Bank and Gaza, the way they annexed Golan and East Jerusalem. Yeah, that's it. Like, that's their whole strategy. And to pretend like they're not, I think is weird. Like, they're obviously doing that. Like, in a real, like, 1 + 1 = 2 kind of way. And, of course, meanwhile, new bill seeks to extend U.S. military benefits to Americans serving in the Israeli army. There's 20,000 Americans currently carrying out the Gaza genocide as members of the Israeli military. So, anyone want to pretend like Americans are not deeply embroiled in this can go fuck themselves. We're literally passing bills to give better military benefits to the people enacting a genocide. Yibbity yikes. Yibbity yikes. All right, pivoting away from the Israeli catastrophe. In Canadian news, from the Globe and Mail, Food Banks Canada says food insecurity is worsening across the country. Food insecurity and poverty are worsening across Canada, according to a new report that says governments in the country are not adequately responding to the crisis. No shit. Capital doesn't respond to crisis, right? That we've been abandoned, that it's about extraction at this point, extraction and abandonment. That's the whole strategy, right? They're not going to suddenly alleviate anything. They're not going to make anything better for anybody. That it's all about extracting as much as they can get and then leaving. Food Banks Canada's annual poverty report card, released Wednesday, says that 1 in 4 Canadians have unstable or inadequate access to food. 44% of Canadians say they are financially worse off this year compared with last year. The National Support Network of Food Banks found they just need to get a better job, you know. That's what they got to do. They just got to go in there, look him in the eye, shake his hand, and say, I'm a hard worker, I'm a good teammate. And then they'll get the good job, and then what you got to do is work 80-hour weeks, and then you'll get the raise. Right? That's how it actually works. You know what you need to do is you need to take on $100,000 of debt to get a degree that's obsolete the second that it finishes. That's what you should do. Yep. We're building a successful society here in Canada, all right? Yeah, we are, for sure. The problem isn't the 5 billionaires. The problem is half of the population. That's what it is. It's millions of people are lazy. That's what it is. When you look at big numbers like that, you forget it's real people behind those numbers. These are families. These are kids who go to school without anything in their lunchboxes, said Kristen Beardsley, Chief Executive Officer of Food Banks Canada, in an interview. Food insecurity is on the rise in all 10 provinces, the report card says. Saskatchewan saw the steepest increase, with the rate rising to 28% from 20.3%. Visits to Canadian food banks have increased by 50% since 2021, Ms. Beardsley said. And if we see these rates of growth continue, I can tell you that food banks will get to a point where they're not able to serve the need. She added that it's a really scary prospect. No shit. Generation Y me, good to see you. Mr. Moon, good to see you. I feel like I haven't seen you around here in a long time, Mr. Moon. Good to see you. Wednesday's report card assigns letter grade to each government in Canada and indicates that they are not sufficiently responding to the crisis. No shit, they're capitalists. Ottawa received a D- in 2024, down from a D last year. Just fucking go for the F, dude. If you're gonna be like D-, just say F. Like what's with this cowardice? Like, just say fucking F. Just say it. The majority of provincial governments received grades in the D range. Just for God's sakes, man. What happens if you just say F? I guess you can't go worse, right? I guess F literally is we can no longer feed people. So, okay. All right. Okay. I retract, right? If you say F, then you can't go anywhere else. So when the famine starts, you're like, well, we're already at F. Concern over the cost of living during a period of above-average inflation has become a central issue in federal politics. Well, federal propaganda, certainly. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre and his party frequently make references to Canada's growing use of food banks as part of their attack on the Liberal minority government. Yeah, the Poilievre government has no intention of resolving any of this. They're literally the Poilievre strategy going in is going to be austerity against the public, cutting social services, so that will, quote-unquote, attract investment from capitalists, which they won't do. Right? Like, the fatal flaw of trickle-down economics is that if you already have the money, why would anyone invest money? Right? That if the majority of the wealth is in the hands of a small group of people, why would they ever invest? They already have it. Right? It'd be like telling somebody, like, who has a glass of water, hey, if you get up and walk a mile, you can get a glass of water. And he'd be like, but I already have a glass of water. Why would I need to walk a mile to get something I already have? Right? This is the fatal flaw. If we give billions and billions of dollars to a single individual, he'll turn around and invest it. No, he won't. He already has it. Why would he need to invest? There's just like a threshold where it's just like, oh yeah, I already have all the money. What do I need? I don't need to invest in your shitty little startup. Who cares? Right? Outside of just like some Shark Tank, like, that seems fun. I guess I'll spend my time, determining whether or not I should invest into people. Just walk around handing out your money, dude. Give your money to the poor. Literally give thousands of dollars to random people on the streets. Like, that would be more useful than what we're doing now. Oh, I really like that cracker brand. I'm going to invest in that cracker brand. Yeah, capitalist investment. That's just the innovation we're talking about. Polyev raised the report's findings during Wednesday's question period. After 9 years of the NDP Liberal Prime Minister's taxes, debt, inflation, and promises, Canadians are hungry. Literally, he said. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said his government is investing in supporting Canadians in need through initiatives such as a national school food program. Oh, that's really useful for those of us that aren't in school. This year's federal budget included $1 billion over 5 years for that program. Classic liberalism. Well, we're going to do a 2.3% increase over 25 years, and that'll solve the problem for sure. As well as a total of nearly $200 billion for various food security projects. Just straight up scattershot. Classic liberalism. We care. Miss Beardsley said existing projects to combat food insecurity and reduce poverty are great, but do not do enough to alleviate financial pressures on Canadians in the short term. Yeah, because that's not the point. The point is to pretend like you're doing something. That's the point. We need to make sure people who are not able to afford their lives today have some relief. Yeah, good luck. Some food banks have already needed to reduce their hours of operation and increase the amount of food given out and decrease the amount of food given out, she said. The Food Banks of Canada report card outlines some policy recommendations, including a grocery benefit for low-income shoppers and a housing benefit for renters. Ha-ha. Like, haha. The Food Banks of Canada have been saying for years, by the way, that Canada should have a basic income. Like, 15 years ago, they said this. And they've been saying it over and over again. And the Globe and Mail is not going to report on that, because Globe and Mail is owned by David Thompson, the wealthiest Canadian, right? Or now I guess he's the second wealthiest Canadian, because that fucking hack defrauded a bunch of people. Ms. Beardsley said she's hoping to see different levels of government work together to alleviate poverty. But at the moment, federal programs are at risk of being undercut by other levels of government, she said. One example she pointed to was the potential for federal benefits to become income that is penalized when one applies for provincial support. And that's just the end of the article. Literally just like, yeah, we're fucked. The government could do things, but they're not. And when they do things, they're useless. You know, we're fucked. We're totally fucked. Yeah, what is a D- anyway? It's a less shameful F, really. I really think that a D- is straight up just like, the only way that we will go lower is if people are literally starving. Like, if people starve to death, that's an F. So until that happens, we're not willing to give an F. Yeah, $1 billion for 5 years. Give me a fucking break. Exactly. Yeah, just annoying. Otto von Strausser lived in Montreal in exile for a bit. Oh, phenomenal. Yeah. At least we can be comforted in knowing that veterans benefit in the U.S. suck. Yeah, right. I just don't understand why anybody joins the military. Like, why would anybody think about joining the military? You literally get shot and then abandoned. Like, why would anybody join the military? Like, go to a place to get your leg blown off and then live in poverty for the rest of your life and for your country. From sea to shining sea. Mr. Moon writes, read the other day that a current high school graduate will need 40 years to save the deposit for a house in Sydney, Australia. Cool and normal. Yeah, not at all a total failed society that doesn't actually work, right? Yeah, hardworking, austere economic fall is the new order of the day in Western economics. Yeah, like, and what they're doing is they're just managing the decline at this point. Like, they know they're in decline, and they know they can't get out of it. And, like, it's so bad that we're still supposed to be listening to frauds give advice that is basically continue doing the thing that is failing, right? If we just keep doing the same thing over and over again, it'll work. For real. Like, I literally just read an article that essentially made that case by some fraud loser from the University of West Virginia who discredits the University of West Virginia. Yeah, it's great how we have to fall to Gaza levels before they get an F. Yeah, it's nice to know that there is a bottom. D for detrimental to society. Hooray! Pierre Poilievre's incoming war on support for Palestine. Wouldn't be right wingers without classic McCarthyism and major censorship regimes, right? They're silencing us, we scream from our international platforms. Since Israel began its brutal attack on Gaza last October, public opinion in Canada has shifted towards sympathy for the Palestinians, with 50% of Canadians believing Israel's war has been too heavy-handed, according to pollster Angus Reid. At the same time, poll after poll points to Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre, a lifelong supporter of Israel, winning the next federal election with a comfortable majority, thanks in large part to a range of domestic issues far removed from Israel's war on Gaza. Despite the shift in public opinion in regards to Israel's conduct, Poilievre has shown little sympathy towards those who care about protecting Palestinians. After Hamas led an attack on southern Israel on October 7th, Poilievre joined a chorus of other political leaders in expressing unconditional support for Israel, declaring that Israel has the right to defend itself against these attacks and respond against the attackers. Just genocidal, just like manic, right? Something a demented child would say. During a campaign stop in British Columbia, he laid the blame for the carnage that Israel had already inflicted on Gaza in the immediate aftermath solely at the feet of Hamas, which he called a sadistic, genocidal, terrorist death cult that must be stopped. We're talking about Hamas here and not the Zionists? Okay, odd, but okay. During a speech in Parliament on October 16th, Poilievre acknowledged that the suffering of the Palestinian people is a tragedy. But of course it's all Hamas's fault, right? And that all of us must do everything in our power to preserve this precious life and minimize the suffering of innocent civilians, which is why we're going to arm a genocidal regime that's literally going to have arrest warrants issued against it by the ICC. Cool and normal. But the conservative leader avoided any call for Israel to exercise restraint and again placed the blame for Palestinian suffering entirely on Hamas's shoulder, right? Blame the victim, insisting that the group seeks the maximum suffering of Palestinians as well. Like, what do you expect? Like, the conservatives blame the victim all the time, right? Just get over it. Sure, there was an ethnic cleansing, but just get over it. The conservative leader expressed support for a two-state solution. Good luck with that. But said stability and security for the Israeli people are necessary for that to happen, with no reference to Palestinians deserving similar assurances as a precondition for any such negotiations. Incidentally, like, to really point something out, right? This whole thing puts Canada out of step with the entire rest of the fucking planet. Look at this. Ireland, Spain, Norway recognize the state of Palestine. Well, what's not well known, the Green formally recognizes Palestine. Who's not recognizing Palestine? Yeah, and then Orange is to formally recognize in the coming weeks. So who isn't doing it? Oh, it's the Nazis. It's the fascists. Right? It's Germany, the United States, Canada, the fascist state of Greenland. Right? Italy. Like, poor Australia. Well, what's up, Australia? Come on, I thought better of you. And then, of course, hold on. That's Myanmar, right? Did I do it? Did I do the thing? Am I super genius? Hey, I'm the coolest. Who's the coolest? It's me. I correctly guessed the thing. Myanmar. Myanmar. Come on, Myanmar. Get your shit together, Myanmar. So the entire rest of the planet is like, yeah, Palestine should be a thing, for sure. Well, not Canada, the United States, or like the Nazis in Europe. Jeez, the fucking Louise, man. And so Pierre Poilievre is like majorly out of step with the vast majority of world opinion. It's just, you know, the fascist United States is like, no, we shouldn't recognize Palestine. Only Israel has the right to defend itself. Palestinians don't have the right to defend themselves. This month, International Criminal Court prosecutor Karim Khan announced he had applied for arrest warrants against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, etc., etc. I just read an article about this. During the 7 months of Israel's war on Gaza, the governing Liberal Party of Canada has shown signs of wanting to give the appearance of qualifying its support for Israel. I love this line, dude. The governing Liberal Party of Canada has shown signs of wanting to give the appearance of qualifying its support for Israel, with the Trudeau government voting in favor of a watered-down, non-binding motion that, among other things, called for the end to further authorization and transfer of arms and exports to Israel. In practice, the Trudeau government said it would only defer approvals of new permits for such exports. Poilievre, by contrast, has offered no hint of softening his hard-line support for Israel and defense of his actions. In an October 24th speech in Parliament, the Conservative leader condemned Prime Minister Justin Trudeau for comments he made, suggesting Israel's responsibility for an explosion outside Al-Ali Hospital in Gaza. Since then, Poilievre has made no comment on Israel's well-documented attacks on hospitals and other pieces of civilian infrastructure in Gaza. Yeah, they just gotta shut up, right? It's a big, long article. I'm not reading this whole thing. Civil society crackdown. Even before the Harper government cut UNRWA's funding, it cut funding for domestic civil society organizations that fell afoul of the government's militant pro-Israel messaging, with then Citizenship and Immigration Minister Jason Kenney loudly accusing such groups of anti-Semitism. Right, just the classic Zionist bullshit, right? Like, and what's always so shocking to find out is, like, when you find out how little money these guys are actually receiving in bribes. That's the shocking part. When you actually look at, like, how much money are Zionist groups giving these guys in order to betray their own constituents and their own people, it's like $10,000. It's not like this overwhelming sum of money, right? Yeah, Generation Y me. I thought Bangladesh too. No, Myanmar. And the only reason I know about this is because of the coup. That's literally it. The coup happened in Myanmar, and then I read a bunch of articles, and I looked at it for a while on a map, right? And I was like, Myanmar. I don't know anything about Myanmar outside of that, really. Like, they had a coup recently. That's why it's like Myanmar Burma, because it used to be Burma, and then it got renamed Myanmar after the coup. And I don't even really know much about the coup. Like, who did the coup? Probably the United States, but, like, anyway. That's a little rabbit hole. Homelessness increased by 20% despite $443 million liberal plan, PBO. Like, this whole thing's really working, eh, guys? This whole capitalist thing's really working out, eh? Isn't it crazy awesome how awesome the capitalist system is definitely working out as homelessness increased by 20%, even as the capitalists spend $443 million on it? Right? Because at the end of the day, the $443 million isn't to eliminate homelessness, it's to profit from homelessness. That the people who are put in positions in order to deal with the crisis of homelessness know that their job depends on how much homeless there are. And so they're completely disincentivized from actually solving the problem. And so they don't. They take the $400 million and they pocket it and they say, can we have more? We need more. That's how capitalists operate, right? They're not interested in solving the problem. Despite $443 million in new annual spending aimed to reduce homelessness, the number of people without a roof over their head has grown by 20% in Canada, according to the PBO. The new $443 million was a 374% increase compared to prior spending, but it doesn't appear to be having the desired effect. Yeah, if you throw money in a black hole, it's going to go nowhere, right? The capitalist systems for homelessness management don't work. In the latest point-in-time count published by Infrastructure Canada, the number of homeless people had increased by 20% relative to 2018, reaching 34,270. And we estimate that number of chronically homeless people had increased by 38% relative to 2018. The 20% figure is a part of point-in-time counts done across the country that aim to get a rough estimate of the number of people without permanent shelter. The PBO released a study of the government's homelessness efforts on Wednesday morning after the government launched a new program called Reaching Home in 2018 as part of the Liberals' broader housing strategy. The overall goal of Reaching Home plan was to reduce chronic homelessness, which is defined as someone who has been without a home for at least 6 months, by 50%. The PBO found the program is likely helping 6,000 people stay off the streets, but to actually hit the government's target, they would have to spend much more. Yeah, of course, right? You can't just take a house and give it to somebody, right? You got to spend money because they worship money. And it's the only thing they care about. They don't actually care about solving this problem, right? They care about how much money they can actually convince people to siphon away into the pockets of the bureaucracy. That's what they care about. The best available evidence suggests that homelessness has increased in spite of Reaching Home, and as a result, the program is not on track to meet its targets with respect to reducing homelessness, the PBO report reads. We estimate that achieving a 50% reduction in chronic homelessness would require an additional $3.5 billion per year, approximately a 7-fold increase in funding, the PBO report. Or, crazy thought, you could approach the capitalists and say, hey, we're taking these houses, and we're putting homeless people in them. Tough. In my experience, the best way to reduce homelessness is to reduce homelessness, right? Just like how the best way to reduce poverty is to reduce poverty, right? Give people money, right? Forget about this like circuitous, like circular logic, trickle down economics of like, if we do this and then this will happen and then what will happen there is this will happen and this happens and then another thing happens and what that does is that rising tide raises all boats. Yep, that's what happens. Or, crazy thought, right? Oh, you don't have any money? Here's some money. Now you have money. Which one of these two ideas do you think is actually going to work? Which one of these two ideas do you actually think has any truck, right? What we'll do is we'll give hundreds of billions of dollars to one guy, and then that one guy definitely will invest it, 100% he will for sure. He certainly just won't sit on it and do nothing like they actually do, right? And offshore it so that they don't pay taxes on it. That definitely doesn't happen, even though all the evidence is there to show you that it does. So he'll 100% invest it, which he doesn't, but we'll say he does. And then he'll invest that money and he'll get new equipment, and that'll increase productivity. Right, so the capitalist invests with new equipment that forget about the fact that the workers make that doesn't matter, but the equipment will increase productivity, and that increases wages, which it doesn't, but we'll say it does. Yeah, and therefore, vis-a-vis accordance in the laws of capitalism, all money be praised, praise be to the chaos god of death and destruction, then workers will make more money somehow. Or give money to the poor. Which one of those two ideas do you actually think is actually going to work? Right? It's like you're hungry. Do you think that eating food will help? Or do you think like, oh, what you got to do is you got to climb a mountain and then once you reach the top of the mountain, you got to talk to the ancient guru man who will then bestow upon you the ancient tradition of learning how to gain hunger molecules from staring at the sun. Which one of these two do you actually think is real? Like it's just we got into total embarrassment. Does Poilievre have any policies planned to suppress support of Palestine? Yeah. Like, I mean, this whole article is about that, and that's all they've ever really done. Right? That's all they've ever really done. Like why wouldn't they? Right? Like, you could take a look at what the Harper government did. Anyway. Yeah, it's true. It ought to be simple. It is simple. They have to make it complex on purpose. It's got to be made complex. There are less unhoused in my district than vacant living spaces. Yeah, of course. No, we've known that for decades. The billionaire class buys houses and then sits on them because they treat our housing market like it's a commodity or like it's a currency. And and there's always been less homeless people than there's been empty houses, right? But the billionaire class needs to create false scarcity. And now, honestly, it's not even about creating false scarcity. It's literally turning our housing market into currency, right? That houses are like money because they know that the dollar is in decline and they know that the treasuries are a bad investment and they know bonds are bad. And so they feel like they've got no way where to put their spoils, right? Without their spoils falling into decay, right? So what they're doing is they're finding wherever they can put their money that'll actually increase in value. And the best thing to do is just buy up the housing market, right? That'll increase the value of their investment, right? Because they worship money. They don't actually think about these things. They don't actually understand economics. They don't actually understand, like, what the purpose of any of this is, like, to build a civilization. They're running on a religious ideology that they call economics. Ben continues, do you believe the Liberal government still has it in them to turn this around? Trudeau has gained so much governing experience since 2018. I don't think Trudeau wants to. Like, really. Like, if I'm to play the game of electoral politics and pretend like and pretend like it matters and that there's like a distinct difference between these two groups, I just don't think Trudeau has it in him anymore. I don't think he's interested in being the prime minister anymore. He went through this divorce. He's been through a lot of scandals. His popularity is really, really bad. The last Liberal budget really just smacked of like kind of desperation. There's no vision there. There's no actual looking at anything and actually taking a serious look at what Canadians actually need to actually succeed. Actually, it's all just pandering and performance on like the most superficial level possible. And the only thing I can conclude is that Trudeau doesn't really care to be the prime minister anymore. Right? He made $50 million. Like, he's made $50 million. He's going to leave and he's going to go work, be some consultant for like Enron or something, right? Some fossil fuel company, like they all will. Chrystia Freeland will go off and join NATO. Like, none of these people have souls. They have no vision. They don't care about Canada. And I honestly think Trudeau's kind of over it. I think he's finished being the prime minister. Like, if he was actually interested in being the prime minister still, if he was actually interested in leading the country, he would be striking forward with extremely bold initiatives, and he would be taking it seriously. But he's not. He's not taking it seriously. And that's because he's always been an unserious person. He's always worked for the system of capital. And now his run is over, and he is aware that it's over, as all politicians' runs eventually end. Right? Like, that's the thing about politics, right? Every politician knows that eventually it's over, right? They know this is coming, and so they have a plan, and they've got a strategy, and Justin Trudeau has a plan. He has a strategy, and not that he needs much of one. He has $50 million that he made from being the prime minister, right? Through all these, like, scandals and backroom deals that he's been making. And so do I think he has it in him to turn it around? No. Not really. Why doesn't he just resign then? Because legacy. That there's no disgrace in losing an election, right? Everybody loses an election eventually, right? Every leader eventually loses. That politics is a game of failing the least bad, and so he wants to go out in dignity. And be thought of as a good, stalwart Canadian prime minister. He wants to hear the news reports of, like, Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, now folding the Canadian flag, as is tradition. Now he goes and dips the scepter into the jar of pudding and touches the head of Pierre Poilievre, the new Prime Minister, as is tradition. Like, that's what he wants. Like, he wants that. Whereas resigning, right? A resignation is a resignation in disgrace. Like, he doesn't want to look like Mulroney, right? Like, Mulroney resigned in disgrace. Which is so funny because they keep shoving Mulroney in front of us. They keep bringing up the corpse of Brian Mulroney and being like, Brian Mulroney had this to say, and we're all like, who fucking cares? He was a hacky loser politician who resigned in disgrace. Who cares what he thinks or says? Like, jeez, the fucking wheeze. Yeah, JT, an elder statesman, exactly. Yeah, remember that Stephen Harper has $300 million in Israeli defense companies, and PP is his puppet. Best we can do is triple the temporary foreign worker program, exactly. From Business Insider, pivoting over to Ukraine. The U.S. is thinking about letting Ukraine use its weapons to strike Russia, even if it enrages Putin. These capitalists are psychopaths. They're psychopaths. They've lost their minds. These capitalists are psychopaths. They're gonna destroy all of us super quick. Like, fucking dumbasses. Good opportunity to say like, share, subscribe. Hit those bells, hit those whistles. Tell people I exist. Think about donating to my Patreon. It's been a minute since somebody's actually donated to my Patreon, and it could be you. If you currently are a Patreon, consider upping it from $1 to $2, or $2 to $3, or $3 to $4. On and on it goes. It's just $1. It's just $1. Thanks, guys. To the people who are my Patreons, thank you so much. Thank you so much for donating. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for supporting me. I appreciate you guys a lot. I feel like I don't say that enough, and I have to remind myself, I've got to put up a sign right here to be like, thank your Patreons, because I'm quite grateful for you guys, and I'm grateful that you're all here, and I'm grateful that people tune in and that they listen at all, that there's anybody on the other side of this thing listening at all, to me is a goddamn miracle. It's a miracle that you're here. It's a miracle that I'm able to do this, and I hope one day that this is what I'm able to do full time. That's the dream for me, to be able to wake up and actually do not just 3 hours, but 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, and not just 3 days, but 5 days, and to be able to do it as a full-time job. That's the end goal. That's what I'm reaching for. But I can't do it without your support. So thank you for those who support me, and if you are on the fence about it, please consider tipping over, and just even $1 helps. Thank you guys, each and every one of you. I genuinely do appreciate it. So, this fucking ridiculous bullshit. The U.S. has banned Ukraine from striking targets in Russian territory with its arsenal of U.S. weapons, but that may be about to change. The New York Times on Thursday reported that U.S. officials are debating rolling back the rules, which Ukraine has argued severely hampers its ability to defend itself. Do you understand what's going to happen if they strike Russia? Like, do you actually get what's going to happen if Ukraine actually does strike Russia? Like, there's a reason why the U.S. has banned it. There's a reason why it's in the best interests of Ukraine not to do it. If Ukraine strikes Russian targets, like, right now what's happening in Ukraine, okay? Right now what's happening in Ukraine is that you have Russian forces essentially like here, right, in this region here, and they're just slowly and steadily kind of like moving in this direction, right? That I've seen some reports that show that Russians have been able to do incursions, right? But they're not seizing territory with these incursions. And so they're steadily moving the line. They're steadily moving the line, right? And they're just steadily, slowly, steadily moving the line, all that kind of stuff. Do you know what happens if Kiev, like, goes, ooh, and shoots Moscow or something? Do you know what's going to happen? They're going to level Kiev. They're going to reduce Kiev to rubble. They're going to push this line forward, right? It's the soldiers and the people themselves will scream for it. Like, hitting Moscow directly with any kind of force at all is straight up going to lead to the destruction of Kiev and this military line swiftly moving forward and seizing territory as fast as possible. Like, no, you don't go after the women and children, right? And the Russians are not going to tolerate it, and they are going to expect a full military response, which Putin will give them, right? Putin hasn't just been sitting here dithering, right? He hasn't just been dicking around. He hasn't been quiet this whole time. He's been very clear about what will happen if the Ukrainians actually hit Moscow or hit Russia. He's been very, very clear about what will actually happen. And it's exactly what I just said. They will reduce Kiev to rubble, and they will push the line forward, and they will be looking for Zelensky. Like, right now, Ukraine has lost this territory. It could lose this territory. It could lose right here. Just a line right down. Right? Russia's not going to fuck around if you start fucking with them. Right? Like, this isn't a war that Ukraine is going to win. There's no winning strategy. Like, so far, what the Ukrainians have experienced is Russia being nice. This is Russia being nice. This is Russia being like, we've got to go in there, we've got to do something, we don't want to. Right? Yeah, stop poking the bear. Ukraine should have signed a peace treaty back in 2016. They should have signed the Minsk Accords, and they should have abided by them. Right? Like, I just don't understand how anybody is actually looking at this situation and being like, yeah, the Ukrainians made good decisions. For sure. The Ukrainians made a bunch of good decisions here. Hi, Milo. What's up? The apparent U-turn comes after Russia placed weapons across the border from northeastern Ukraine and directed them at Kharkiv, according to the Times. The report said that Ukraine would only be able to use non-American drones to hit back. According to the report, the proposal is still being debated and is yet to be formally proposed to President Joe Biden. Analysts say the policy... Analysts, the same fraudulent loser analysts that have been losing this war the whole time, the same analysts who actually believed that they would be able to economically dominate Russia, the same analysts who led Ukraine into this war, right, are saying, yeah, now it's going to hand Ukraine a critical advantage in fighting Russian attacks, using U.S. weapons to strike troop gatherings and Russian planes that carry glide bombs. Yeah, that, and the Russians will just be like, oh, gee darn. Jiminy Jillikers. Shoot. Oh, well. No. If you start hitting Russia in that way, like, they will mobilize another 200,000 men, and they will start carpet bombing Kiev. And it will not be pretty. Like, it will not be pretty. Like, they're not going to hold back if you start hitting territory in Russia with American weapons, no less. Right? Yeah, they're going to fuck you up. You're not going to win this thing. Some of the U.S.'s allies, such as the UK, have already lifted the restriction on their weapons being used to hit targets inside Russia. However, there are concerns about how Russia might respond to the move. Yeah, no shit. I love it. These guys are like looking at a chessboard, and they're moving their pieces without even considering what the other guy might do. Like, just like 200 ELO. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? According to the reports, Biden believes that Russia could hit back, no shit, by launching an attack on the U.S. or one of its allies, leading to a retaliatory spiral that could result in nuclear war. So we better do it. It's a concern that has long played a central role in how much aid to give Ukraine. Throughout the war, the U.S. has incrementally increased its support for Ukraine, handing it more sophisticated weapons. Ukraine has several times ignored U.S. warnings about potentially escalating the conflict, such as by attacking the Crimea Peninsula or launching long-range drone attacks deep inside Russia itself. But so far, Russia has yet to respond to these moves with a massive escalatory attack. Yeah, because Russia is a rational actor, unlike the West, right? Russia is making moves based on what it needs to do, right? It's making moves because it feels it has to make these moves. It's not just some psychopathic foaming at the mouth demon who's like, more land, destroy, consume, crush life up for money, right? That's not what they're doing. They're doing a different thing, which the West doesn't understand because the West's not capable of things like compassion or empathy, right? They don't have it. And analysts recently told BI, that the Business Insider, that the Kremlin appears keen to avoid a direct war with NATO allies. No shit. Right? Oh wow, it's almost as though Russia is rational and has the capacity to understand what its actions could actually do. right? Unlike the West. However, Russia's President Vladimir Putin menaced the West with nuclear weapons over its support for Ukraine and announced new nuclear exercises near Ukraine's border this week. Yeah, that's called a warning. That's called rattling the saber, right? Like, you guys should negotiate peace, you fucking dimwits. No, America doesn't know how to do that, though. Like, that's the thing. Like, because America doesn't know how to do diplomacy, it literally doesn't understand the concept of diplomacy. It doesn't know how to negotiate a peace deal. Like, that's the problem. It simply cannot negotiate a peace deal because it doesn't know how to. Some warn the West will only know when it has crossed Russia's red lines when it is too late. Yeah, just like this whole conflict started, right? CIA director. Then when he was the ambassador of Russia, wrote an article saying explicitly, these are Russia's red lines. Going into Ukraine is a red line for Russia. They will fight a war with you. And America did it anyway. So America doesn't give a fuck about whatever the warnings are. Like, America literally is, not literally, figuratively, although literally means figuratively now, so it's a topsy-turvy world. America is the guy walking around the wilderness just eating mushrooms. Oh, this one's got red spots all over it. Maybe I'll look in a book. I know I'm an American reading a book. I know, a big stretch. But here I am looking at a book. This one's called Death Angel, and it will kill you in 30 minutes. I've got a strong constitution. I'll just destroy the Death Angel mushroom. And then, like, 30 minutes later, they're barfing their brains out, shitting their pants, being like, wow, how could this have possibly happened? Analysts writing for the Responsible Statecraft think tank last year said the response could take the form of an attack on U.S. satellites to destroy civilian and military communications. According to the Times, U.S. officials believe Putin has red lines that'd trigger an escalation. They just don't know where they are or what the response would be, even though the Russians have been as clear as they possibly can be. I don't know what you need. Like, it's just straight up like a dude complaining that his girlfriend has gone crazy when she's literally like, just take out the garbage. And he just doesn't. And he's like, I'm confused. She's not communicating what she needs. And she's literally got a tattoo on her forehead that says, take out the garbage. Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky, in an interview with Reuters this week, criticized Western caution, saying that its support typically came about a year too late. But it is what it is. One big step forward, but before that, 2 steps back. So we need to change the paradigm a little bit, Zelensky said. We are negotiating with partners so that we can use their weapons against buildups of Russian equipment on the border, and even on their territory, he said. So far, there is nothing positive. Fucking negotiate peace. Negotiate a deal. Like, it's just so wild to watch these guys just shoot themselves over and over and over in the foot. Right? Russia won't negotiate with the dictator. Sure it will. Zelensky lost his mandate May 20th. There should have been an election. Putin is basically saying, hold elections or no deal. Dude, if Zelensky showed up and said, we should negotiate a deal, Putin would probably be like, okay. Like, there's chest thumping, and of course Putin is going to point out that there hasn't been any elections. Because the longer that there are no elections, the longer that goes on, the less credibility Zelensky has. Right? So it's in his interest to sort of point these things out. Yeah, concerns. June, if you believe in a globe Earth, then you're literally Hitler. Google Columbus Globe for state and industry leaders. What? What? Just for you, I'm going to do this. Columbus Globe for state and industry leaders. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Is this going to be a rabbit hole? This is going to be a rabbit hole. Okay, here we go. Brace for impact. The Columbus Globe for state and industry leaders, also known as Hitler's Globe or the Furs Globe, were 2 purpose-made globes designed in Berlin in the 1930s, one each for Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party. The Columbus Globe for State and Industry Leaders was located in Hitler's office throughout most of its existence. It became widely known in the United States after comedian Charlie Chaplin parodied it in his 1940 film The Great Dictator. Comedy group The Three Stooges also made fun of it in 2 of their short subject comedies. One of the 2 limited editions was looted by John Barsamin, a private in the U.S. Army, at Hitler's summer retreat shortly after the war, and sold 60 years later in an auction for $100,000. The globe in Hitler's office, including Abyssinia as part of Italian East Africa, was known for its size as well as manufacturing cost. Cool. Nearly the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. So not a small thing. We need a banana in this picture. We need a banana in this picture for scale. That's what we need. The globe is regarded as a metaphysical representation of Hitler's alleged megalomaniacal desire for global conquest. Dude. Why are these guys always so fucking weird? What if just a bunch of weirdos these guys are? The Prime Minister in Estonia was recently like, meh, it's probably not a big deal for us to train our new troops in Ukraine. Yeah, dude, there was a Prime Minister, I forget if it was Estonia or Latvia, it was one of these, I believe it was Estonia, who outright said that if Russia broke apart, it would be good for us. Right? That if Russia just broke apart and we carved it up for resources, it would be good for us. Like, they're just mask off at this point. Like, they're making it very clear what their intentions are. There's a reason why the West will never make a deal here, because they don't care, right? They have no soul. They'll tell it to you. They'll say it directly to your face that our goal and our initiative is to destroy human lives, is to make Ukrainians fight this war for us, right? And that's good for America. We're just psychos, man. Just absolutely crazed. So, a couple of days ago, we were reading about all of the plastic in our balls, right? Hold on. Plastic in testicles. Just to remind everybody, right? From NPR, researchers find tiny particles in men's testicles. Most alarmingly is that they have found it in every sample that they have had. Everybody's got plastic in their balls. There's a child's book for you. Everybody has plastic in their balls. So, what does that actually do? Mounting evidence shows the endocrine disrupting chemicals in plastics are harmful to human health. Hold on, guys. Did you know that if we dredged up the dead from the earth, put them through a mystical alchemical process, and forged their bones into containers for us to drink from, that there might actually be consequences for that? Right? I love talking about oil and fossil fuels as if they are corpses, because that's what they are. It's dead organic matter, right? They try to sterilize it, but like the more you realize that this is literally like the bones of our ancestors, we're literally dredging up the bones of our ancestors to make water bottles, and then being like, this has negative consequences? Yeah, dude, necromancy has negative consequences. The deal with necromancy is that it siphons away your life force in exchange for power. That's the deal with necromancy. And so when you engage in necromancy, don't be too shocked when you end up with microplastics in your balls. The translucent exterior of a plastic soda bottle hides a secret in plain sight. Hundreds of synthetic chemicals embedded in seemingly innocuous material. These chemicals give the plastic its structure, flexibility, and durability, among other qualities. The same traits that also make plastic last for centuries, causing it to accumulate and endure in nature. Before this plastic enters the natural ecosystem, the chemicals inside can leach out of water bottles, and other food containers, entering the body and potentially endangering human health, according to a mounting body of research. In particular, plastic contains endocrine-disrupting chemicals that could wreak havoc on certain messaging systems in the human body. As their name suggests, these chemicals act on the endocrine hormone system in a possibly dangerous way. Most direct research into their health effects comes from studies on animal and lab-grown cells. Testing these chemicals directly on the human body would be unethical. Although, we're doing it. As well as broader epidemiological studies in humans that have linked EDC exposure with adverse health outcomes. But research has a hard time keeping pace with the rapid and constant creation of new chemicals. Isn't that great? We're making new chemicals faster than we can study their effects. And then we're just releasing them into the public, being like, yeah, it's normal. But profit motive. This will make us 4.2% more over 20,000 years. Sure, it gives cancer to babies, but, they should work harder if they don't want to get cancer. There are more than 16,000 chemicals used in plastic manufacturing, and over 1,000 industrial chemicals used today are suspected EDCs. But aside from a small percentage of substances that are regulated, plastic producers aren't required to disclose the chemical ingredients they use. Huh? How about that? Yeah, we can just do whatever we want and then put water in a bottle and sell it to you and be like, ingest that. This is a normal society. We're a normal people. The specific cocktail of chemicals that lurks in the products we buy is therefore something of a mystery. Boy, are we fucking stupid, man. I'm just constantly in awe. Just constantly in awe at our total stupidity. We are going to dredge the dead from the earth, put it through an alchemical process to make it into a bottle that we're not going to tell you what it is. And we're going to put a liquid inside that bottle and then hand it over to you and just be like, drink that. And we're all just like, yeah, okay. I gotta give you $5 for a bottle of water that you could just get from a tap? Sounds good. What's the bottle made of, by the way? Don't know. Oh, well. We deserve it, man. Boy, do we deserve this shit. We deserve it, man. I can't even believe how much we deserve the shit that's coming for us. The specific cocktail of chemicals that lurks in the products we buy is therefore something of a mystery. You know what's in a packet of biscuits when you buy them, but you don't know what chemicals are in the wrapping, says Sarah Dunlop, a neuroplasticity researcher at the University of Western Australia and director of plastics and human health at the Minderoo Foundation, a charitable organization. I'm going to be honest. The Minderoo Foundation might be a wonderful foundation full of lovely people. I cannot take the phrase Minderoo Foundation seriously. We here at the Minderoo Foundation, what we do know is that EDCs are packed into plastics and that they can leach out. And despite the slow pace of research, the evidence has been steadily accumulating for decades. It now paints an increasingly concerning picture that should motivate us to regulate plastic production. Several researchers say you can't regulate the free market. The free market will solve this problem through a very perverse and ridiculous process that I use to justify my religious ideology to myself. If you try to regulate the free market, it will only result in disaster. If you regulate the free market, then people will be poisoned, says the person defending the right of companies to poison us. EDCs cover a vast family of substances that include many synthetic industrial chemicals such as bisphenols, flame retardants, and polyfluorocarbon substances. That's the official name. Polyfluorocarbon. Or forever chemicals. And this one is literally PHTH. Flowlets. among others. They're found in everything from electronics to carpets and paints to cosmetics, and in plastics. In this material, their applications are broad. Phthalates are known as plasticizers and give many plastics their flexibility and durability, whereas PFAs have non-stick qualities that come in handy in the production of molds for plastic products and leave behind a telltale chemical residue that can migrate onto whatever surface the plastic goes on to contain. EDCs also turn up in other places we might at least expect. Following a safety assessment, the FDA last month announced grease-proofing substances containing PFAs that have been completely phased out for food packaging, paper, and paperboard by manufacturers in the United States. Bisphenol A, BPA, one member of the large bisphenol chemical family, is used to make epoxy resins that line the inside of food tins and drink cans, and is even woven into the polyester fibers in some clothing. These chemicals are used everywhere, and plastics are extremely pervasive throughout our entire built environment. And we don't know what they are. We're literally like, what's in this spray that we're about to spray on our children? I don't know. These chemicals are everywhere, and plastics are extremely pervasive throughout our entire built environment, says Bethany Carney-Almroth, an ecotoxicologist at the University of Gothenburg in Sweden, who investigates chemicals in plastics. We're exposed to them in every way every day. Some recycled plastics contain concentrated levels of these chemicals that could be compounding our exposures. Research also shows that this exposure is direct. Most EDCs are lipophilic, meaning they can combine with dissolved fats. So people are exposed to them via the oil in sweat, through skin, and into our body. And most concerningly, through the fats in our food. EDCs can leach from plastic food packaging and storage containers directly into the fatty ingredients they contain, Carney-Almroth says. Synthetic EDCs have a similar structure and size to dozens of hormones, including estrogen, testosterone, and thyroid hormones. So once they're inside the body, their masquerade threatens to throw the meticulously choreographed endocrine system into disarray. Usually the body's endocrine system works like a well-oiled machine. A mechanism sets off a series of steps where endocrine glands release certain hormones in precise quantities at precise times to reach receptors spread throughout the body. That precision is key in triggering the required response, but synthetic EDCs mimic, block, and otherwise disrupt this normal functioning. If you introduce a chemical that is not supposed to be there, it can activate a receptor that can lead to a cascade of signaling that is not supposed to happen in that moment, says Miranda Fernandez, a neuroendocrinologist at the Experimental Medicine and Biology Institute, a research center affiliated with the University of Buenos Aires. This is a catastrophe. The effect of this faulty signaling could be serious and wide-ranging because the endocrine system helps to moderate everything from fertility and reproduction to growth, metabolism, immunity, and brain development. What's important is not only the amount you're exposed to, but when you're exposed to it, Carney-Almroth says. Pregnancy and fetal and infant development are all considered periods of heightened vulnerability to the effect of EDCs. For example, several studies have drawn a link between exposure to EDCs during pregnancy and disrupted reproductive development in male offspring in wildlife and humans. That's implicated in fertility problems. In research where scientists exposed pregnant rodents to different types of phthalates, chemicals found in some plastics, their male offspring showed a shorter distance between the anus and genitals, or anogenital distance, a developmental marker that indicates the animal was exposed to lower levels of male sex hormones in utero. Years later, a notable study showed that pregnant people with higher phthalate levels in their urine similarly gave birth to sons with shorter AGD. Later research showed that men with a decreased AGD also had a lower sperm count. Like, we're literally killing ourselves. Like, we're destroying ourselves. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it's like, look how convenient this bottle is. Nestle bought up all our water, privatized it, and then put it in bottles and sold it back to us, even though it came out of taps. And now we can't have babies. Bronto is what plants crave. We put Bronto on all the plants. I don't understand why the plants aren't growing. Bronto, it's got electrolytes. It's what plants crave. Like, dude, this is so idiocracy. Like, this is idiocracy level shit that we're at now, dude. Like, come on. Like, we made plastics and we don't know what's in the plastics, and then we eat everything out of the plastics. This is straight up just like Roman emperors eating from lead jars shit. This is literally like, we ate the lead and it drove us crazy. Who's to say? In utero, in neonatal development, things happen very quickly, in a very orchestrated manner. Disruptions in the pathways during that period can lead to changes that are permanent, that you will see later in life, Fernandez says. Fernandez's work is focused on BPA, and she has shown that newborn rats injected with this chemical have reduced fertility and develop ovarian cysts in adulthood. BPA has been shown in some studies to trigger a proliferation of cells in human breast tissue, which could be a precursor to tumors. One idea is that because BPA mimics estrogen, an ingredient that's crucial to female sexual and reproductive development, it can disrupt the normal development of the ovaries. Normally, a hormone would lock onto a receptor with exquisite timing, triggering the signaling that needs to go on in the cell to make it grow, divide, and produce other growth hormones, Dunlap says. Along comes BPA, and it sticks on all the receptors and wreaks havoc because it causes signaling to go astray. These are just some examples of the myriad ways that EDCs may interact with rodents and human hormones and health. Large observational studies have linked phthalate exposure to a higher likelihood of having preterm birth, as well as to disruptions in insulin function that implicate these chemicals in diabetes. And a review study showed an association between developmental exposure to flame retardants, which contain phthalates, and reduced IQ in children. Although relatively few studies have directly investigated the impact of EDC specifically from plastics on human health outcomes, there are some examples. One investigation showed that female plastic industry workers had an increased risk of fertility problems. Another found that both male and female workers had higher levels of phthalate metabolites, or byproducts, in their bodies. This growing evidence base has motivated some countries to start regulating plastic chemicals. You can't regulate the free market. The invisible hand of the free market coming by and saving the world. If you try to you can't regulate the free market because capitalism is a natural system that springs forth from the goodness of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ came down to earth in order to give us capitalism, and he sent us his invisible hand of the free market, which if you regulate, it's going to lead to disasters like fucking plastic in your testicles, buddy. Like, this growing evidence base has motivated some countries to start regulating plastic chemicals. For instance, the European Union has banned some types of phthalates in children's toys and the use of BPA in plastic baby bottles. Many researchers think there is no safe consumption level for EDCs because these chemicals don't act in a predictable, linear way on cells that can be managed by simply capping the amount we put on the body. But even so, organizations including the European Food Safety Authorization, an agency that provides independent scientific advice to the EU, has established a strikingly low, safe limit of 0.2 nanograms of BPA per kilogram per body weight per day. Right? This has an awful. This has the sound of like how the ICC is issuing arrest warrants with this kind of like, we have to, it's just so overwhelming, the evidence. Like, it's, if we don't, then we've discredited ourselves as an organization. It's got that kind of, although they have discredited themselves as an organization. Like, they're trying to rebuild their credibility. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration is currently reconsidering its own proposed safe limits of the chemical. These interventions are overshadowed by the scale of the problem, however. With the new EU BPA concentration limits, you can exceed your daily tolerable exposure level by eating 1 can of tuna. That's from the chemicals in the epoxy resin packaging material, Carney Almroth says. Even chemical-specific bans don't work very well because industries often replace regulated chemicals with chemically similar ones that affect the body in the same way, and then they don't tell you what they are. Human biomonitoring studies, which analyze chemical levels in samples of blood, tissue, and urine in Europe, show that while quantities of regulated phthalates have declined in the urine of sampled adults, the amount of unregulated new phthalate substitutes has been increasing. This is capitalist innovation right here. The free market's deciding. You see, what you did is you regulated one poison out, so we just replaced it with another poison. Yeah, what do you want us to do? Not poison you? Get the fuck out of here. How do you think we raise profits for ourselves while simultaneously taking pleasure from the mass murder of your children? What? That's what we're doing. Very clearly and obviously. Similarly, some plastic producers have replaced BPA with a chemically similar alternative called bisphenol S, which is now believed to have similar or even worse effects. We gotta arrest these guys, man. We gotta round these people up. Like, for real. They know they're poisoning us. Like, they know it. They just don't give a fuck. To understand how pervasive the problem has become, take the widespread bans on BPA in baby bottles. Despite that regulation, research tells us that this chemical still gets into infants through breast milk. When lactating people are exposed to food, packaging, and BPA in their diets, they have chemicals that they're passing on to the infant, says Ninja Reneke. Dude, that person's name is Ninja. Ninja Reneke. Kick-ass name, dude. What a kick-ass name. Ninja Reneke? That's a video game name right there. I intrinsically believe everything this person says. A chemist with expertise in EDCs and ChemTrust, a UK-Germany charity that campaigns for chemical regulation. And though plastic chemicals affect people everywhere, those in some areas bear the brunt of the issue, Carney Almroth says. In low-income regions that receive much of the world's plastic waste exports or where people's jobs, such as waste picking or factory work, put them at greater exposure to plastic chemicals. The health burden is likely higher. Even so, in a global survey of the research on plastic and health, scientists found that only 3 papers in total out of the 3,500 we look at came from a low-income country, says Bedita Siwu, a research associate in plastics at the Minderoo Foundation, who worked with Dunlop to develop the global plastic health map. That's really big gap in information because those countries are probably the most exposed to plastics as well. Regulating plastics. We should start by arresting people. Like, I have plastic in my balls, guys. Like, I have plastic in my balls. We should arrest these people and put them in jail cells and forget where we put them. Carney Almroth believes we can take action while the necessary research continues to fill such gaps. We have enough data now for there to be consensus saying that yes, these exposures are occurring and resulting in adverse health outcomes in humans. No shit. I've got plastic in my balls. I got plastic in my balls. I got plastic in my balls. Got plastic in the roof and plastic in the halls. But boy, oh boy, I'm happy that there's plastic in my balls. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? Like, who are we arresting? Why haven't we arrested these people already? For her part, Reneke believes it will be crucial to move past regulation on chemical-by-chemical basis. Typically, chemical bans happen once research has established a specific harm. Like, how is it not actually the process that, hey, we've invented a new chemical. Okay, cool, you invented a new chemical. Let's study that chemical to see if it does any intrinsic harm to people. How is that not the process? How is the process like, we invented a new chemical, send it out. Oh, it's causing harm? Okay, then we'll regulate it. Like, what a psychopathic system. Just, you can make any chemical you like and just send it out in the world and just be like, go, little chemical. This certainly won't have negative adverse consequences on the populace. That won't put any plastic in anybody's balls. That's not going to happen. Typically, chemical bans happen once research has established a specific harm, such as plastic in your balls, which might explain why just 1% of the 13,000 chemicals and plastics have been regulated in international agreements so far. 13,000 chemicals, only 1%. Yeah, dude, Psychopath Nation for sure. Bro, I'm for sure going to play that after this. We're almost done. Going a step further, we really need chemicals and plastics to be rigorously tested. No shit. I'm blown away this isn't happening. Like, it's like, you know, I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked. You know, it's like Fry. Like, I'm shocked. Well, not that shocked. She's hopeful that a global plastic treaty that's currently being negotiated by the world's nations could shine a spotlight on plastic chemicals and bring some necessary regulation into the space. Ha 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 ha. What's really needed is to round these people up and arrest them. Like, why is that not even mentioned? Like, why is nobody actually saying out loud, these people are psychopathic criminals who should absolutely be arrested? No? Nobody? Oh. What's really needed is the kind of systemic change that this international regulation could bring. The problem is too large and invisible for people to navigate in their daily life. Carney Amroth says, still, there may be small steps that we can individually take to minimize our exposure. Here comes the gaslighting, right? It isn't round up the criminals and put them in jail forever, right? It's what can you do? What can you do? For instance, she advises against heating up food in plastic because this increases chemical leaching. Dunlop's tip to avoid buying food packaged in plastic where possible and not to be fooled by appearances. Many tinned and canned products may contain plastic too. Fernandez says that in the end, we shouldn't underestimate our power as consumers. We have the voice to make industries accountable for what they are selling to us, she says. It is our right as consumers to have products that we can safely use. Arrest these people. Like, for real. Like, arrest them. Plastic in my balls. I got plastic in my balls. I got plastic in my balls. Ring the bells and in all the halls, 'cause I got plastic in my balls. It writes itself, right? I got a couple of kind of parody songs that are like this. All right. I feel incentivized to sing this song, so I'm going to. This song is called Psychopath Nation. One of my regular followers really, really loves this song. This one goes to you, Just Me. Oh my god. Try not to get old, guys, if you can avoid it. Just don't get old. Burn yourself out for dollar bills. Kill your children for a few cheap thrills. You got a problem? Well, that's too bad. You're too tired to see you've been had. Yeah, work or starve while we drop bombs. No such thing as right or wrong. We'll call you lazy while you work to death. You gotta earn yourself a moment of rest. And I won't work for a psychopath nation. No, I won't work for a psychopath nation. Burn those corpses so you can speed. Buy that garbage you don't need. We'll play the victim while you lose your grip. Why won't they work in the apocalypse? Yeah, retreat into your stupid lies. Act confused when your children cry. We promise change but get the same. Gaslight, deflect, and take no blame. And I won't work for a psychopath nation. No, I won't work for a psychopath nation. As we collapse into the devil's lap, as we watch the world burn to ash, you'll whine like bitches on your way to the grave. Why won't those serfs just behave? Yeah, you fucking vampires, demons, and ghouls. We're done with being treated like fools. The curse is lifted, we're free from your spell. keep on crying while you burn in hell, 'cause we won't work for a psychopath nation. Yeah, we won't work for a psychopath nation. Yeah, we won't work for a psychopath nation. Yeah, the song kicks ass. I give myself like a B. That's a B performance, I think. Not the strongest performance ever. I also want to play the other one. Where's the other one? I forget what it's called. I'm gonna do that one, I guess. And where are you? Oh yeah, dude, I haven't played this song in forever. This isn't the song I was thinking of, but I'm gonna play it anyway. It's been so long since I played it. Ugh. Organizing. Getting my shit together. Dude, I do not remember how to play this song. And all I've given myself is a single note. Lean into it. You know what? Nah. Oh, wait. Alright, I got it. Suited psychos sold a package of lies, spun their stories and promised the skies. Now they're robbing us in front of our eyes. They get off watching your children cry, and the ghouls who claim to run this place, they don't know wrong from right. They're trying to kill the human race. I won't go down without a fight. Raise the banners, take up the cause. Suicidal nations don't have any laws. Lift up your heads and take out your claws. Watch what happens when your apathy thaws, 'cause the ghouls who claim to run this place, they don't know wrong from right. They're trying to kill the human race. I won't go down without a fight. Kill these fascists, break all their bones. Take everything away, don't leave them alone. Bury them beneath a mountain of stone. Their evil we won't forgive or condone. And the ghouls who claim to run this place, they don't know wrong from right. They're trying to kill the human race. I won't go down without a fight. Whoa! Yeah. This concert brought to you by Plastic in the Balls. Do you want plastic in your balls? Then just come to America. We give you plastic in your balls for free. Your next purchase of mini wafers comes with plastic in your balls. Dude, I'm never going to let go of this plastic in your balls thing. Certified bangers only. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I do need to write a song called Plastic in Your Balls. Although I think just doing like parody ads, parody ads that are just like, would you like plastic in your balls? Well, we here at Plastico. Oh, well, Peanut Butter Beatrice, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. There's one song, and I'm like completely blanking on it. Completely blanking on it. It's gonna be, I'm gonna turn one corner, and it's gonna be right there. Ugh, I need to get fucking organized. I need to get fucking organized. My book is a totally huge disaster. And I don't even really know what I'm looking for. That's the thing. I forget, because there's another song that's like a kick-ass song. And now I'm just like... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I forgot that I wrote this. I forgot that I wrote this one. Man's Island, pockets full of sin. They got us cheating and dying in a game they'll never win. Yeah. Okay. Here's another one of these. Can't get back. Nope. Can't get back to the life you had before. Lock me down and say goodbye. Nope. I don't remember how the tune goes. Hold on. I'm gonna play the chorus. And then we're going to go into the court. Dude, you guys are being very kind to me to let me do my rehearsal in front of you, apparently. We're on a dead man's island. Pockets full of sin. They got us killing and dying in a game they'll never win. Can't get back to the life you had before. Lock me down, say goodbye. Break my back against the floor. River rushes over me, I struggle not to drown. Pick my pocket anyway, hope I won't make a sound. 'Cause we're on a dead man's island. Pocket full of sin. They got us killing and dying in a game they'll never win. No. Burn your mother's womb away so you can make a dime. Building cages for bones won't take you back in time. Run hard from the guiding light, spill blood so you can stay. Scream and cry, make children die. She'll take you anyway. And we're on a dead man's island. Pocket full of sin. They got us killing and dying, yeah, in a game they'll never win. No. And when they're gone, we'll scratch our heads, ask what was that about? Broken souls and wasted time we could all do without. A hopeful heart, a love's embrace are products they can't sell. If God has any self-esteem, we'll see them burn in hell. And we're on a dead man's island, pockets full of sin. They got us killing and dying, yeah, in a game they'll never win, 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 no. Yeah, that one needs a general rewrite. I don't think the point comes across as well as I like. And I see here that I've got the last line of the final verse, burn in hell, which I used in the last song, Burn in Hell. Right? The link to my Bandcamp is in the description. You can get to my songs in the description if you would like to purchase some of my songs. Some of them. I don't have a lot of this stuff recorded. You're being very kind to me, just me. You're being very kind to me. Ugh. I'm glad that we're doing this musical part. Dude, there's fucking plastic in our balls. Like, can you imagine? Like, just like... The point of that last song is that... The point of that last song is that, like, these guys are acting as if they're not going to die. Right? These guys are acting as if they're not going to die. You know? And they are going to die. And like they're grinding everything up and they're consuming everything in their fucking path. And they're going to destroy us doing it. Why? Like, for what? What are you actually gaining? What are you actually achieving? What are you doing, right? And then in the end, they all just fucking die anyway. And we're all just like, oh, what the fuck was that about? Why the fuck did we listen to these guys? Why are we paying any attention? Oh, there it is. It's literally right there. Shoot a rich man into space, you gotta get ahead of the human race. And we're the lazy ones working at the end of your nukes and your guns. And we don't even care, bring on the doom, light up this apocalypse, we'll be going soon. And God let his chosen ones wander forever in the burning sun. And 10 times worse the fate for us, we forget him and worship the dust. And cause we don't even care, bring on the doom, light up this apocalypse, we'll be going soon. Baptize us with rising tides and never let us see what hides inside. And cover our sins with dollar signs, the fire will burn away our pride. And you could have done anything at all. You could have done anything at all. And you could have done anything at all. And you chose this. And we don't even care. Bring on the doom. Light up this apocalypse. We'll be going soon. Cause we don't even care. Bring on the doom. Light up this apocalypse. We'll be going soon. Ugh. Plastic in our balls, the gooning rag calls. Gross. Gross. Oh my god. Oh my god. I've got one piece that I started writing called Thank God We've Got That Billionaire. Thank God we got that billionaire. Like, it's just gotten so fucking obvious Like, I just don't know how much more obvious you can make it than you have plastic in your balls. How much more evidence do you need that this system has failed? You have plastic in your balls. This place is bubbling over. Your money you can keep. Rather while away my days dying in the street than spend another moment sucking up to you. You can take this job, put it up your ass, and this is what you'll do. Get fucked. Get fucked. I didn't want this goddamn job anyway. Get fucked. Get fucked. You fucked around and found out. Go away. Just go and get a job that doesn't pay the rent. Go get an education and drown in all your debt. The billionaires don't give a damn how hard they're screwing you. So let's all send a message and tell them what to do. Get fucked. Get fucked. I didn't want this goddamn job anyway. Get fucked. Get fucked. You fucked around and found out. Go away. We're all in this together as long as you do all the work. While away your better days making money for some jerk. This deal ain't no kind of life, it makes me wanna scream. Let's round these motherfuckers up and get the guillotines. Get fucked. Get fucked. I didn't want this goddamn job anyway. Get fucked. You fucked around and found out. Go away. Yeah, you fucked around and found out. Go away. Yeah, you fucked around and found out. Go away. Dude, I'm so looking forward to someone like Bezos just dying. It's gonna be great. It's just gonna be a drastic improvement to the society. Like, ugh. 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 Ha. You know what, man? I am gonna play this song. I'm gonna play this one. Jeez Louise. Jeez Louise. Jeez Louise. Jeez Louise. I'm like doing the full concert. I'm like playing all of the songs right now. This story pissed me off. That's why. This story fucking pissed me off. Like, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like the next person that comes in here and actually tries to say capitalism is good, actually, I'm just gonna be like, you have plastic in your balls, dude. Like, how much plastic do you have in your balls? Capitalism's working out, eh? All that plastic you have in your balls. Like, no wonder we have so many fucking weak men. Everybody's got plastic in their balls. We're just weighed down by the plastic in our balls. No wonder everybody's depressed. We've got plastic in our balls. No wonder everybody's frustrated. We got plastic in our balls. Are you noticing a theme? Are you noticing a theme? How the system of capital is so despicable and so ridiculous and so absurd that they literally have put plastic in your balls so that they can make more dollars on a screen. Like, do you see how despicable and disgusting this thing is? Unfucking believable. Unfucking believable. These times they are am certain of that, there is no doubt, and nobody can tell me quite what it's all about. The heartbreak and the loneliness, the chaos and the fear will make even the strongest cry. I wish my ma was here. A young man on a battlefield fights for a rich man's gold. The bullet cracks into his spine, he knows he won't grow. And as the tears come streaming down, at once his mind goes clear. The war was fought for nothing, he cries, I wish my ma was here. A lively story well in hand, a joke to soothe your soul. And when it came to arguing, she'd forgive and let it go. And when I cried, she held me, told me it's okay, my dear. And as we face these darkened days, I wish my ma was here. And as we march into the streets, as all the righteous do, we'll raise our voices to the skies, they cannot stop the truth. And as we tear their structures down, we'll raise a victory cheer. We made the world a better place, and I wish my ma was here. Yeah, we made the world a better place. I wish my ma was here. I was just a little boy when my mom and dad divorced. Through my tantrums, cried my tears, I'd keep their vows by force. Now that I'm an older man, I see it had to be this way. And my love for them, it keeps on growing each and every day. Time passed me by so swiftly, I could have been a better man. And every day I'm trying to do the best things that I can. And though they're not the people I expected they would be, well, I love them all the same. And I just want them to be free. For 10 years, me and my wife, we traveled round the globe. Sacred vows and shared regrets, they filled our lives with hope. Then one day she tells me that a man is not for her. Well, those 10 years are a memory now, but my love for her still stirs. Time passed me by so swiftly, I could have been a better man. And every day I'm trying to do the best things that I can. And though she's not the person I expected she would be, well, I love her all the same. And I just want her to be free. My love had a little girl, a scrappy tomboy type. I watched her blossom like a flower, but she felt not quite right. Then one day she tells me she's a young man, not a girl. Well, I picked her up and held her close, and sent my son into the world. And time passed me by so swiftly, I could have been a better man. Every day I'm trying to do the best things that I can, and though he's not the person I expected he would be, well, I love him all the same, and I just want him to be free. And though they're not the people I expected they would be, well, I love them all the same, and I just want them to be free. That song in particular, I gotta tell you, the other songs have a lot of oomph, I think, but that song's got true power. I can feel it. I can feel it when I play it. I can feel it when I sing it. I can feel it coming out of me. That a lot of the other songs are like a fight back or a hit back or a punch back. That song is just a warm embrace that says to the listener, let's grow up together. Let's learn something together here. Let's share a moment in time. Let's look at the people who we may have anger or confusion towards and just learn how to forgive. And that to me is where the power of that song comes from. It's a beautiful piece, and I feel blessed that the universe bestowed it to me and gave it to me. And I hope that I have the opportunity to return that favor to the universe so that that song can continue touching people's hearts and souls and minds, so that they might look at their neighbors and look at their families and find peace. Got asked a question by my niece who's 5 years old. What's the world gonna be like when I'm grown? I looked up at the crimson smoke-filled sky. I thought, what's the harm in telling one more lie? I said, everybody's safe, no one's living in the street. You never need to worry if you're gonna get to eat. And Antarctica is covered in ice. The burning sun won't leave a paper trail. Why work so hard if it's too big to fail? And what's the point in feeding this machine if it won't make the world in our dreams where everybody's safe, no one's living in the street? You never need to worry if you're gonna get to eat. And Antarctica is covered in ice. And I know one day my maker I will meet, when death's sweet kiss comes to sweep my feet. I hope by then we've learned a little more. I'd like this place to be better than before, so everybody's safe, no one's living in the street. You never need to worry if you're gonna get to eat. And Antarctica is covered in ice. Antarctica is covered in ice. I will always believe that we will be able to do it. I will never stop believing. I will never stop believing. No matter how much plastic they put in our balls, Val. No matter how much plastic they put in our balls. No matter when the wildfires spread, when the water comes up, when populations are fleeing, as the fascists take hold of this place and take the mask off, as they erect camps, as they begin eradicating populations, as the famines sweep this land, I will always believe that we can win. I will always believe. This place was a garden before we even got here. We came into a garden. We were born into a garden. The earth wants to be a garden. The universe wants it to be a garden. And the best part about this whole thing is that we don't actually have to do anything. That's the best part. The earth is more than capable of healing itself, thank you very much. That we're the problem, not the solution. That we don't need to invent anything. We don't need to be particularly clever. We just need to stop polluting. I would argue that the best solution to stopping pollution would be to stop pollution. And I know that we will win, and I know that we can win, and I know that we should win. Because we have the universe on our side. That the capitalists have their money, well, we have the power of creation. That if we lose, it means that the universe is a dumbass. And if we want to be here to see that all happen, all we have to do is stop. Man, it's just gotten so obvious, eh? It's just gotten so obvious. Like, What more do we need? What more do we need to see? What more do they need to do to us? They've already got us working full-time jobs with no benefits to not be able to pay rent. They've already stripped away our ability to have an effect on our political system. They've already destroyed our communities. They've already destroyed our societies. They're already committing genocides. They're already pledged to continuing an ever-spreading war. They're already committed to a climate change apocalypse. And now they're literally poisoning us to the degree that we are finding plastic in our testicles. As funny as it is to say, and as funny as it is to hear, literally nothing is sacred. They'll poison your dreams if they think it'll make them a dime. That we've crossed a threshold now where the people who are still defending capitalists are Nazis and should be considered as such. That they are trying to destroy the species. They are trying to destroy the planet. They are trying to destroy us. They don't care about anything. They are exceedingly and extremely dangerous, and they're not going to stop being exceedingly and extremely dangerous. We have to organize with our neighbors. We have to organize in our community. We have to. The political system has abandoned us in entirety and in totality. There is no salvaging it. The Liberal Party is not going to try to help you. The Conservatives are not going to try to help you. The NDP is not going to try to help you. Your neighbors are going to try to help you. The people in your community are going to try to help you, especially as the abandonment becomes more and more advanced. Especially as people are going to have to start parking their trucks. Like, amidst this climate change apocalypse, there's also the fact that we're just going to run out of oil. Like, this is the most embarrassing part about all of this, is that we're going to create a climate change apocalypse, and then the very thing that was responsible for causing the apocalypse will just run out of it. And we won't be able to use it anymore. Like, what could possibly be more short-sighted than this? Our goal should be to organize a movement that's bigger than the political movement, than the electoral movement. Our goal should be to organize outside of that movement and tell it straight up when it comes begging for votes, go fuck yourself, you're illegitimate. You're an illegitimate system. This is a revolution. That we should stop listening to these institutions. Because obviously these institutions are leading us to our destruction. And it's obvious. It's obvious. And the apologists who stand up in favor of this, we should regard them as Nazis. And not even remotely close to anything lower than that. You're going to stand up in front of me and tell me that the system of capital is good, you're a Nazi. And it's over. The system of capital is literally putting plastic in my balls. It's over. It is a religious death cult. Like, it is that. Like, when I started to pursue that line of reasoning, I'll admit there was a just sense of like, fuck these guys. That's really where I was at when I started talking about the fact that capitalism is a death cult. I just wanted to put my thumb in their eye. But now we can say clearly, cleanly, very straightforwardly, capitalism is a death cult. Like, look at what they're doing. Look at what the result of this system is. Look at what the result of this all is. Not just war. Not just genocide. They're poisoning us on a massive, massive high-scale level. This isn't like a little bit here, a little bit there. This is literally like, do I have to say it again? That you have plastic in your balls? Like, ha 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 ha. You have plastic in your creative source, in your root, in the root of who you are. You have been contaminated by the system of capital. And you think you're okay? And why is that happening? Why are we murdering Palestinian children? Why are we starting a war in Eastern Europe? Why are we committing ourselves to massive slave systems? Why are we poisoning our citizens? Why are we doing all of this? Oh, it's so a small handful of psychopaths can gain more access to dollars that their own government is responsible for printing. That is worship. That is worship. That is venerating an idol, money, as a god, and destroying everything in exchange for it. And moreover, they've told us for decades that that's their strategy, that that's the theory. Well, the theory is wrong. And how do I know? I have plastic in my balls. That's how I know. I don't think I need much more evidence. But like all religious acolytes and like all fundamentalist religions, the system of capital has lost the capacity to reason. That the structure of the religious ideology is worshiping money, is selfishly pursuing money in a chaos system. That's the system of capital. Pillar 1, worship of money. Pillar 2, worship of self. Pillar 3, worship of chaos, the free market. Saying let the invisible hand of the free market decide is not different than saying let chaos reign. So the prime adherents of the system of capital say out loud to us regularly that we should sacrifice everything worth having in the pursuit of money for ourselves by causing as much chaos as possible. And those are the base principles of the religious ideology of capitalism. And the best part about it is that if there is a scientific analysis to be done, a scientific critique of capitalism to be done, it comes out of Marxism. And the best part about it is that the capitalists are themselves illiterate of it. That they keep doing self-destructive things in the pursuit of money, including giving away their manufacturing, including poisoning their slave stock. Like, even if they have this slaver's mindset, even a slaver would think, yeah, I shouldn't poison my cattle. but it's making a quick buck for some asshole somewhere. And we're not even looking at it. Like, that's the most shocking thing. That's the reason why I'm so flabbergasted. We're literally creating poison and then just sending it out into the world, and there's no one that's looking at it. We're only looking at it after the fact. We're insane. We've lost our minds. And we deserve everything we're about to get. And we're about to get it bad. Like, it's going to be bad. Like, just the water levels coming up. Every other nation on Earth is going to have a strategy. Every other nation is going to be like, oh, this is a problem. We got to mobilize forces and we got to do something about this. Right? Rational nations already have plans and already have ideas about what to do and how to relocate populations and what to do about it. Right? China has built entire cities that are just sitting empty, waiting for it. Because they know that their low-lying water is going to be a real problem for them. America's just going to let it happen. It's just going to let it happen and just say, yeah, just fucking deal with it. It's going to be total chaos, and the whole place will be run by cop cities, which are all incidentally strategically placed to be inland, right? Because they know what they're doing. They understand that they're destroying the country and destroying the society. They know they're doing it. We need to tell as many tales about how demonic these people are as possible. Like, future generations need to know that we were ruled and governed by psychopaths. Just ruthless, crazed lunatics. And they need to know what the ideology of that of those lunatics was. They need to understand that it was a fundamentalist religious ideology that overtook America and turned it into a fascist theocracy. Like, it's already a fascist theocracy. The religion is capitalism. And capitalism has co-opted Christianity. It's co-opted everything. And now it's going to destroy us and then itself. That's its plan. And that's its goal. Organize with your neighbors. Knock on people's doors. Talk to them. Start something. Start anything. Anything is better than what we're doing now. We would be better off as a people if we walked out of these office buildings, if we walked out of these restaurants, if we walked out of these construction sites, if we walked out of these places of work and went and laid in fields and stared at the sky. We'd be better off as a people if we did just that. And just refuse to participate in this psychopathic system of self-destruction. I just don't know how anybody has kids now. Like, I just don't know what the strategy is or what the thinking is anymore. Just Me writes, we live in a Christian capitalist society. Christians and capitalists are both death cults. I've never met a Christian in my life. These people aren't Christians. I think they're cosplaying as Christians. They're capitalists. They're capitalists. Their religion is capitalism. They just like Jesus. That's all. But I've never met a Christian in my life. Where are they? Who are they? What are their names? They don't listen to Christ. They hate Christ. They despise Christ. If they met Christ in real life, they would immediately hate him. There's no Christians. Like, you have the evangelical quote-unquote Christians, and they're obviously not. And then you have the weak liberal Christians who are just getting ramrodded. You know, just like Christ would have wanted them to be. So you just have You just have like this false bullshit. Like, who's a Christian? All I see are a bunch of cosplayers. So organize with your neighbors. Take seriously the challenge. If there isn't a party in your neighborhood, it's you. You're the party. You're the person. Yeah, crazy how churches are tax exempt in the US. Well, with all of that, guys, we're going to call it here. Always remember, each and every one of you is a quantum being walking around in quantum energy. These billionaires are spending hundreds of billions of dollars in the hopes you just never realize it. You just stay the good little commodity they need you to be. Rebel. Revolt. Repent. Good luck. We're going to need it.